You will start here. Go sit down.
Okay.
You start here. Welcome. La, 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 la. When you do that, you say, so I have somebody. So, madam, come and stay. You know, somebody there. Take that show and there.
So I'm gonna ask you your name. What your name is. So
You stand here. She's there already, and then you speak to her.
okay.
Don't speak to her. Walk out of free. Once she goes out of free, she say a few things again. Okay, so while we get him, then we come here, you come to him as well.
Okay.
It's just like that. Sir, we are managing.
I'm actually
Good
waiting.
afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon.
Yeah, you streaming.
Yeah, can you hear me? Loud and clear. All right.
All right, so you start it's on, it's on. Sorry, please.
Hello.
It's on, it's on.
Hi, can you hear me?
Stay here and just wait for him. When he comes,
Okay.
just relate like it's
Yeah.
You just focus on what I'm telling you. Yeah. Okay, stand by. 3, 2, 1, talk.
With drinks available.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome you to this very edition of the Sterling Leadership Series. And today promises to be an exciting one because we're going to be discussing education in Nigeria. We have Mr. Sim Chagaya, who is going to be, sharing his thoughts around education in Nigeria. And there are a lot of, things to look out for today. But I really want to show you some of our audiences are already waiting. But I would like to, get some of them. Just follow me. Just follow me. Let me. Hi.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, Lokemi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right. I'll just like to ask you very quickly. What are the things you look forward to for today's session?
Well, yes, thank you. I'm looking forward to for them answering questions as to the future of education in Nigeria.
Okay.
So I believe that education is for all and not for some.
Interesting.
Whether you're rich or poor, I believe that everybody should be able to access education. In this time and age, everything has gone right? Everything is on the internet. So I want to know the future of that child who does not have the whose parents don't have the capacity or the ability for them to be able to access the internet for education. Because now, everything is not ethic, right? So how does the child in the backside of Borno State, Kebbi State, access education? So what is the future of education is one question I'll be looking forward to them answering.
Interesting. I'd just like to ask you quickly, our guest speaker, Mr. Sim Shagaya, I'm known for, some of the innovative things they did, during at the e-commerce level. But then I'd just like to ask you very quickly, what is that one thing you're going to be asking Mr. Sim Shagaya today?
Okay, so I know him as an innovative leader from Conga to you listening to me about university.
Exactly.
So how did he come up with that, like the concepts?
Okay.
I want to really know, like, did he really have a passion for education? Because I know some people will just have money and say, oh, I have money, let us open a school, right? So for someone who can go from e-commerce to education, then he must have probably sat down and thought about, okay, how do I fill in the gap, becoming a game changer in the sphere of education? So I'll just ask him how did he come up with that thought, that idea? How did he shift from being an e-commerce guy to shifting into education and helping solving the gap that we know that we can see in education in Nigeria?
And I'm very, very sure that Mr. Sim would be ready to answer all of your questions.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'll see you very soon.
All right, thank you very
As you can hear
much.
from Kemi, she's going to be asking questions. She wants to know what are the thoughts behind, some of the innovative things or the innovations that Mr. Sim Shagaya, actually brought? What has I mean, is it very, very passionate about education, and is that why we have seen too many of those things? I'm going to be asking one more person, just ask one more person about some of the general things about education. Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice
Can
to
we know,
meet you.
can I know your name?
My name is Michael Onyedikachi.
Michael Idikachi. All right. Please, can you let me know what exactly you do?
Okay, I run a foundation for street kids, and we teach them,
Okay.
and we feed them. We give them access to quality education, taking them off the streets so that they can have a life for themselves.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I'm going to be asking you very quickly now. What is that single reason why you registered for this program?
Okay, I registered for this program to not just gain knowledge, but to be able to know, because the topic is beyond education.
Beyond.
Because for the street kids we take care of, we want to give them something beyond just education, because a lot of people think education is a scam. Okay, so obviously I want to have a strong reason to convince whoever that education is not a scam, and that's it.
Interesting. Like you said, we are in the age of education technology, where people are learning outside the traditional classroom. So I'm going to asking you, what is that single most important lesson one can learn outside the traditional classroom?
Well, like now, like you said, we're in the tech space. A whole lot is going on in technology. All right. So, yeah, you can acquire technical skills, you can acquire social skills, you can have, interpersonal skills, soft skills that will prepare you also, even for, jobs and all that. So, yeah,
Interesting.
technology is making it easy for us to get access to that.
Interesting. Let me ask you one more thing.
Okay.
What is that question you're going to be asking our chief speaker, Mr. Sim Shagaya, today?
Okay, so what I'm going to ask him is, I'm concerned about, because of what I do, the work I do in the community, I'm concerned about how we can actually have a policy that will integrate street kids, out of school children, a policy that will bring everybody together, so that education is not just for those who can afford it, but even for those who cannot afford it.
Interesting. Thank you so much. And I'm sure
You're
Mr.
welcome.
Sim is going to be there
Yeah.
to register. To answer some of those questions. As you can see, thank you. I'll see you in a bit. As you can see, the conversations are revolved around in education policy. The next thing that is currently in the season now, education technology, innovations, and you can see that our attendees are very, very, passionate and ready, to grab all of the knowledge, that our guests. I'm going to be showing you something. Like I said, the event has officially started, and what we can see, I just want to show you, this is the networking and in a session. So we have a lot of attendees just getting ready, trying to calm their nerves, ready to enjoy everything. So I'm just going to be showing you around to see what is going on here. So you can see people already discussing, and people already prepping themselves, asking questions, meeting friends, and also I'm going to be meeting new friends today. But you can see there is a refreshment, light refreshment going on for people to just take something before the event officially starts. But today promises to be an exciting one, and we are all ready to grab all of the knowledge around discussions education today. I'm going to see you very soon, and I'm also going to be I just wanted to get your pens, papers, get yourself ready, because we're going to be learning a lot today. All right, so I'll see you very soon. better deal. Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay. Send your cash the Sterling way. No papers, no stress, just tap and go. Your money moves fast like a pro. One bank lives where the vibes reside. Free transfers keep your wallet wide. So download now, let the rhythm flow. Sterling lifts you up, don't you know? Free like the beat, no surprise. Banking made easy, no disguise. Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay. Send your cash the Sterling way. For every night, just star bold and free. Sterling brings transfers, no more fees. One a better deal. Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay. Send your cash the Sterling way. No papers, no stress, just tap and go. Your money moves fast like a pro. One bank lives where the vibes reside. Free transfers keep your wallet wide. So download now, let the rhythm.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hello. So right now I'm here with the most beautiful lady in Nigeria. Do you remember?
You don't know your DJ. You didn't miss our DJ.
I didn't meet you.
Guy met this very. You met me now. Don't you know me? That I come to 7th floor.
Yeah, you used to go to there.
She was working with Petru now. You.
What's Benga?
Oh, you work with Benga.
Where?
It was a staff. I thought it was a staff job. Can you hear me? Is it loud? Is it clear? You are a student of. See your brother.
better deal. Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay. Send your cash the Sterling way. No papers, no stress, just tap and go. Your money moves fast like a pro. One bank lives where the vibes reside. Free transfers keep your wallet wide. So download now, let the rhythm flow. Sterling lifts you up, don't you know? Free like the beat, no surprise. Banking made easy, no disguise. Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay. Send your cash the Sterling way. For every night, just star bold and free. Sterling brings transfers, no more fees. One a better deal. Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay. Send your cash the Sterling way. No papers, no stress, just tap and go. Your money moves fast like a pro. One bank lives where the vibes reside. Free transfers keep your wallet wide. So download now, let the rhythm flow. Sterling lifts you up, don't you know? Free like the beat, no surprise. Banking made easy, no disguise. Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay. Send your cash the Sterling way. For every night, just star bold and free. Sterling brings transfers, no more fees. One a better deal. Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay. Send your cash the Sterling way. No papers, no stress, just tap and go. Your money moves fast like a pro. One bank lives where the vibes reside. Free transfers keep your wallet wide. So download now, let the rhythm flow. Sterling lifts you up, don't you know? Free like the beat, no surprise. Banking made easy, no disguise. Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay.
Today, as we're going to be, demystifying education as a whole, there are a lot of things that we hope to learn today. And I'm going to be calling someone now just to, ask for her to share some of her thoughts around, education. And it's going to be very vital for you to listen. Like I said, hi.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So what's your name, please?
Queen.
Queen?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you one question.
Okay.
What was the reason why you registered for the Sterling Leadership Series, especially for this session?
Okay, so someone just invited me,
Okay.
and I thought it really cannot be a bad idea. Worst case scenario, I would learn, I would network. Yeah.
Interesting. Today we're going to be interviewing Mr. Sim Shagaya, the Chancellor of Miva Open University, and there's a lot of things that I was speaking with some of the attendees, and they had a lot of things on their mind that they were going to ask him. Some was going to ask him about education policy. Another person was going to ask him about his obsession with edutech and all of that. But I'm going to ask you very quickly just some questions. what is that interesting thing that you learned outside the traditional classroom?
I would say I've learned a lot. I entered the corporate world like really early, so like I feel like the traditional classroom did not prepare me for the corporate world. So everything that has to do with networking, leadership, critical thinking, I learned most of that outside the classroom.
Interesting, an interesting point, because a lot of people also have actually spoken about the traditional classroom not preparing them for the realities of the world. But what do you think are the ways by which we can bridge that gap between the actual learning and having the required skills for you to excel outside the classrooms?
I would say like a lot of work has to be done in that aspect. Probably starting with overall of the current curriculum.
Okay.
As at when I was on like 200 level, we're still using materials from like the 90s. And I was like, this is not even relevant. Like technology, I studied mass communication, by the way. So, and look at how tech has improved like over the years. Like there was like this gap between what I was being taught and like what is current. So maybe starting with the curriculum and introduction of certain courses like say critical thinking. I feel like we really do need courses like that. We need the new generation to be able to question things, when like question policies, question things. You don't just have to say yes to everything that you hear. So there's that.
Interesting point, and very valid perspective. But there's also this concerns around technology and the access that some have, than others. For example, in some remote areas, in some of those villages, some of the questions that they're going to be asking is how these people, first, they don't even have power, and then you're talking about technology. What do you think, shall I say, can be done? I know that we talk about the government, investing or doing things in that, but as individuals and maybe as private institutions, what are the things that you think can be done, to solve those situations?
Okay, let's see. I know you mentioned like outside of the government, but when we think of it, like there are basic structures that the government has to invest in if you're going to get education everywhere. Like you said, there are places without internet. So I feel like the best approach would be taking the approach that banks and fintechs have taken. Like, you get banking the unbanked, but like we have very few unbanked because they really have built this structure. It's like if Musa will not go to the gate will go to Musa. So you meet these people where they are at. So, but again, to meet them where they are at, it requires a lot, capital structure, and there's only so much private institutions can do. So you can't just say outside of the government, like they have to be involved, really.
I like that. So it has to be an inclusive thing.
Yeah,
The government
it's a
and the private
collaboration.
institution.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you again, if you were to create a university course, what exactly would it be and what will it teach?
I would say critical thinking, but again, I feel like this would be covered by existing courses like philosophy. Let's see. I think it would be critical thinking for me. It would be
Critical thinking.
Yes,
And why?
and we would need like we would be dissecting a lot. This is making me want to. There was a point where I wanted to be a lecturer, but not anymore.
Interesting.
So like
Okay.
if it was a course I was creating, like every day we go into class, we are dissecting something, whether it's a policy, whether it's a law, whether it's it could be anything, literature, poetry, prose. You can learn from anything. The major thing would not even be what you're dissecting in particular. It's just teaching them to like think outside the box and all of that.
I really like that, because if you look at it, critical thinking is like the bedrock of all of your analysis, and everyone should actually, have that aspect of critical analysis.
Yeah.
On the final note, for our guest speaker, what is that one question you're going to be asking him today? Just that one question.
The chancellor, yeah.
Yes, Sim Shagaya. Okay. maybe you don't want to spill, but it's fine. But like I said, today promises to be very exciting. As you know, there are a lot of things to unpack. There are a lot of things to be learned today, and we are waiting to dissect into that. So thank you so much.
Thank you too.
And I mean, after the event, I'm surely going to be reaching out to you
Okay.
to explore the things that you've learned.
All right.
All right. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, like I said, that's from her. She has shared a perspective about education. She has also, affirmed that critical thinking is one of the important things that every student should actually have or know how to do, and also to explore some of the things that that she has learned outside the traditional classroom. In a class, like I must say, there are a lot of things that we need to learn that maybe the traditional classroom would not be providing, and that's why the innovation of a learning platform, like ULSing and like Miva, are seeking to actually solve. I'm going to be going to another person, who's actually one of the scholars of the Sterling Beyond Education Initiative. Hello.
Good afternoon,
You can
sir.
see him very, very ready, standing. What's your name, sir?
What do you call it again, sir?
Kendi. How you doing?
Fine, sir.
Good. How are you feeling today, Kendi?
I'm feeling excited to be here to connect, collaborate, and to be such an event, and appreciate Sterling back for organizing such an event.
Wow. So let me ask you, the first time you saw that advert, right, Beyond Education, what was going on through your mind?
It's motivated me because I've truly wanted to be in education, and there has been some barriers, and this is a breaking barrier, and I really appreciate Sterling back for this opportunity.
It's interesting. So what are your expectations? What are the things that you hope to, or you're willing, hoping to
Ladies and gentlemen,
to get
please, if
from?
you're having issues,
I hope to get
on
more,
getting a
to learn,
seat,
to collaborate,
please do
and
not panic. We
to
have
always
an
appreciate Sterling
overflow.
back for this great opportunity, and
We
I
have a
hope they can
screen there
continue to
and
do
also
more in
an
the
audio
future.
sheet,
People will appreciate them.
so you're not
Definitely.
left.
So what do you want to say to
Please,
someone,
just leave it
that
to
is
relax.
what,
The seats are
they
ushers
still
will
have,
lead you to
the thoughts
the
going through their
overflow.
minds that they're not really. What is that thing you want to say to that person watching you?
I can tell them to go for it. They will never regret it. It's a one-time opportunity, and they must accept it and grab it.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Thank you. Kende is very excited, and you can see him all of his faces. Today is going to be, celebrated today as they're going to be coming on stage to showcase, them to the world. But like I said, education is a vital thing that everyone should be involved in it. I like what the last person that I spoke with before I met Kende, she said that it's something that both the government, private institution, and individuals should actually come in collaboration with, because I mean it's a vital thing. Education is very sacrosanct for any economy to grow, and we need to come together, and that's what Sterling is doing. With the Beyond Education initiative, we're ensuring that everyone is empowered, everyone has a chance at being educated, and everyone has that opportunity to really access the vital things that will make them grow and explore. All right, so like I said, we're going to be starting very soon at 4, and we really can't wait to, like I said, learn a lot. We're going to be seeing a lot of things being showcased here today, and I just wanted to stand by, get your pens, papers. I don't want it to be distracted, because you're going to actually be learning today. All right, so I'll see you later. Yeah.
Send your cash to Sterling Way. For every night, just star bold and free. Sterling brings transfers, no more fees. One a better deal. Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay. Send your cash the Sterling Way. No papers, no stress. Just tapping your money moves fast like a pro. One bank lives where the vibes reside. Free transfers keep your wallet wide. So download now, let the rhythm flow. Sterling lifts you up, don't you know? Free like the beat, no surprise. Banking made easy, no disguise. Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay. Send your cash the Sterling way. For every night, just star bold and free. Sterling brings transfers, no more fees. One a better deal. Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay. Send your cash the Sterling way. No papers, no stress, just tap and go. Your money moves fast like a pro. One bank lives where the vibes reside. Free transfers keep your wallet wide. So download now, let the rhythm flow. Sterling lifts you up, don't you know? Free like the beat, no surprise. Banking made easy, no disguise. Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay. Send your cash the Sterling way. For every night, just star bold and free. Sterling brings transfers, no more fees. One bet. A better deal. Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay. Send your cash the Sterling way. No papers, no stress, just tap and go. Your money moves fast, like a pro. One bank lives where the vibes reside. Free transfers keep your wallet wide. So download now, let the rhythm flow. Sterling lifts you up, don't you know? Free like the beat, no surprise. Banking made easy, no disguise. Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay. Send your cash the Sterling way. For every night, just star bold and free. Sterling brings transfers, no more fees. One a better deal. Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay. Send your cash the Sterling way. No papers, no stress, just tap and go. Your money moves fast, like a pro. One bank lives where the vibes reside. Free transfers keep your wallet wide. So download now, let the rhythm flow. Sterling lifts you up, don't you know? Free like the beat, no surprise. Banking made easy, no disguise. Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay. Send your cash the Sterling way. For every night, just star bold and free. Sterling brings transfers, no more fees. One a better deal. Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay.
as she comes to speak to us.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the board and management of Sterling Bank, the board of trustees of Sterling One Foundation, I welcome you to this very timely and transformational event. Please help me put your hands together for yourselves. The Sterling Leadership Series has become a point of transformation, a point of inspiration, a point of impact, and a point of acceleration of action in our country and our continent. If you have been here before, you know there is no way you would leave the same way you came. Today, we will be addressing a subject that is critical in Nigeria and Africa. But before we do that, I would like to honor the MD of Sterling Bank and the senior management of the bank. Can you please put your hands together for them? We have a quintessential leader who will be speaking to us today, no other than Mr. Sim Shagaya, with excellent experience and several nuggets for us to learn from today. I would like you to please help me tell your neighbor, get ready to be inspired. Tell them, get ready to be transformed. And finally, get ready to take action. Welcome to the Sterling Leadership Series, the month of September 2025.
Thank you so much, ma'am. To the next individual I will be bringing onto the podium for the keynote address, allow me to invite the CEO of Sterling Bank, Temitayo Adegoke. The applause seems to be too light. I want disruptors are bold.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here to welcome our partners, our colleagues, and our students to today's leadership series. My job is to welcome everyone and say a few words. I'll try to do that. When we came up with the theme for this year, which is Beyond Education, we were asking ourselves, what does it mean to truly learn? What does it mean to solve problems, to create value? All of that right in from education. And we came together to do this through the Study Leadership Series because we find it as an opportunity to put brightest minds together and ask them to help us solve problems, confront urgent conversations such as this one, to ask ourselves, how do we build enough competency to move beyond the confines of traditional learning in a way that solves the problems of today and the future? At Sterling, we do not see education as a checkbox or a development agenda, nor as a charity. We see it as the single most powerful tool for transformation, the bridge between potential and progress, aspiration and achievement. This is why education sits at the heart of our culture, our strategy, the heart strategy: health, education, agriculture, renewable energy, and transportation. The five sectors where Nigeria must continue to excel to secure a sustainable and a prosperous future. Today's theme calls us to look further. It asks us to move beyond education as we know it, beyond certificates, beyond the classrooms, beyond conformity and outdated models. On this, our commitment is very clear. We have invested and will continue to invest through programs and extended access. We deepen relevance and inspire excellence through scholarships, digital literacy initiatives, and partnerships. Grow with Sterling, Miva University, Nexford University. For us, education is not a cost, it's an investment in people who will define Nigeria's tomorrow. And so, to our beyond education scholars, you represent a promise that Nigeria can raise a new generation who are leaders that are curious, creative, competent, and courageous. Where are our students? It's good to see you. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's one message I leave you with today, it is that education is not an end in itself, it's a beginning. Beyond education lies the future, and together we build it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Just before we go into the very first session for this evening, Beyond Education Model, Bridging, Learning, and Opportunity, allow me to introduce the Beyond Education Scholars. Please, can you stand to your feet for just 10 seconds? Let everyone see you. Can we give them a round of applause? Please, you may be seated. All right. To moderate this session, allow me to invite an exceptional lady, brilliant, exclusive, a woman who has become an icon of excellence, inspiration to other women. Earlier on, I introduced her to all of us. She loves the younger generation, most especially girls. She takes good care of them. She reaches out to them to make sure that they become better women for tomorrow. She's an accomplished spoken word artist and storyteller, passionate about amplifying the African narratives. She serves on the boards of United Way Greater Nigeria and Business Day Foundation, mentors hundreds of other young men and women. Please allow me to invite our moderator, the very gorgeous Sheila OJ, as she comes to take over this session.
Thank you very much. It's quite an interesting introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sheila Oj, and when the COO was talking about education is not a cost, it's an investment. Thank you for that reassurance. I just paid school fees yesterday. Yeah. Thanks. Today is going to be a very fun day. First, we're having a panel, and I would like to introduce or like to welcome the beautiful woman who's going to join me, as well as a very young lady, as well as a gentleman. So first, I would like to welcome David Adebayo from Sterling Bank. We are going to be talking about education and beyond education. I would also like to welcome Dr. Ayoteju Ogun, Deputy Director, Office of the Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission. And finally, I would like to welcome Miss Ekemini Deborah Thomas Ben, who is a scholar of the Beyond Education Initiative. Please, a round of applause. All right. Thank you very much for joining me for this conversation. I think first things first, before we go into beyond talking about the questions, I know there's some people here that might ask, what exactly is Beyond Education and what is the Beyond Education Scholarship Fund? Mr. David, if you could just walk us through that.
Okay, it's interesting that you started with that joke.
It's not a joke, I actually paid school fees.
Yeah, because, I'll start somewhere there as well. If you think about the family unit, right? Um, Without question, we invest in our kids. I was reading a book on by the founder of Recyclers, and she talked about, this her book she just released, Crazy Lady, and she talked about the sacrifice that her parents gave for her education and that of her siblings. And I realized that if you go around the room today, you would find that those who are parents have no doubt in their mind about the investment in education for their kids. But somehow it hasn't scaled in Nigeria to positions of power, office, private office, and all that. But as a family unit, we have no doubt that we are investing in our kids. Beyond education is a private sector initiative to take that thing that we believe in that small family unit and do it at scale. We can't do it all given the size of the challenge, but we can demonstrate, we can lead, and hopefully we can inspire other people to do the same. So that's what it's about.
Thank you so much for that. Now, I will go to you, Dr. Ayoteju. He mentioned something about private sector. From your perspective, how important are public and private partnerships, just ensuring that we have sustainable education models, future-ready education models?
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I'll be speaking from the perspective of the public, the National Universities Commission, to be precise, the regulatory agency for the higher education in Nigeria, and talking about public-private partnership. Is that what you? Yes. Okay. So we regulate and ensure that there is standard from the establishment of the university to when the student graduates. And we realize that it's not just teaching, but there is need for the private sector to collaborate with us, and it is a key part of the education because they are the ones that we are producing the graduates for. So it is very, very important that there is a partnership between the private sector and our higher education. They can come in through various ways, and we expect them also to do some things while we also do some things from our own perspective. And it's not just the private sector, it's every stakeholder, including parents, just like you said that you paid school fees. Apart from school fees, just from the child, as little as 5 year old child, you should be able to train your child and ensure that the child wants the best for herself or himself, even as little as 5 or 6 year old under 10. So the private people come in. Do you want me to mention how we want them to come in?
Please feel free.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you very much. Okay, let's start with the establishment. Let me just start from the beginning. Establishment of private universities. We've seen that we have even more private universities in our country now than the government, the public ones. And we appreciate the private, a lot of them are doing very well. And globally ranking them, you even see private universities among the first 500 or first 1,000 in the world. And after establishment, what's next? You identify the programs you want to do. Yes, we have some programs already that we've been using, like from when we started university, but it keeps going, it keeps changing. Education is not stationary, it keeps changing depending on the demand that is expected from that. And it's the private sector that can tell us what we need and what they want us to change. That is why we bring them into the curriculum, because we review the curriculum periodically. The last one we just reviewed is called the CCMAS. That's the core curriculum minimum academic standard. And we actually involved the private sector in getting those curriculum we need. For example, communication has been broken down to more programs, engineering into more programs, ICT into more programs that we didn't have before. Then when the students are in school, we want them to also take them. Some universities, especially the private universities, are already doing that. From 200 level, the private sector pick them. Different sectors, the oil and gas, the finance, the every sector pick them. And I know it's cool that from 200 level, they go for internship to when they graduate. And from there, they can always give feedback. When we go for the quality assurance, which is the accreditation after establishment of those programs, one of the things we also check is we give the student questionnaires to get feedback from them, and we check the employer reports of the students when they graduated, when they are employed. So we get feedback from our private sectors. We also conduct researches. Like recently we always periodically, we call it labor market project, observatory projects. We select some companies. Some don't support, they think we are stressing them, but a lot of companies do support, because that's the only way, one of the ways we can get feedback in addition to other ways that we have.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. And I find that very interesting in terms of engaging the private sector. I know one of the things that has stood out over the years is the very gaping skills gap that we have in the market, where young people are graduating, and when you graduate to then find a job, you realize that what you spent 4 years studying is not what is available. And it's very interesting that you use communications as an example, because people will study mass comm and then you come out and it's digital marketing and content marketing, and there's so many other variations of marketing that you did not know existed that you now have to study. I'm very sure there's an AI marketing coming up very soon, right? Just going back to you, David, how exactly does this the Beyond Education scholarship attempt to close the gap between academic learning and also the real world opportunities?
Okay, thank you for that question. So we've found that, just like you've highlighted, the the many times after going through the theory of education, right, there are things you learn in the workplace that are not necessarily taught in the theory of education. So what we are trying to do is to give students the opportunity to experience professionals, to experience a workplace, to introduce practicality to the theory they are learning. If we can infuse as much as 50% of practicality in what they learn, and this is stuff we've tried. I have worked with people, 3 or 4 of them, who started their BSc, while working with us. And when they finished, you could see that they had learned many of these soft skills that you can only learn in experience, in working with other people, and the discipline that comes with showing up. These are things that are not necessarily taught. These are things you can write an exam for, but somehow are the things that make the difference when you come into a workplace. So exposing them to these opportunities, internships, mentorships, etc., will close that gap, will create well-rounded and employable students. I should say I worked with some of them, and not all of them work with us today. Some of them actually got, employment immediately, right outside the country. So it's something we are looking forward to scale.
Thank you. Miss Ekemini, can you share how being a part of this program has sort of changed your academic and career outlook?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, distinguished guests, my scholars. Good evening. Okay, so being part of the Beyond Education has given me this mindset shift. Before now, I see learning as just being in classroom, getting high grade, who is going to come first, who is going to come second, who is coming third. But this program, this opportunity has changed my mindset through the mentorship, the training sessions, the reward skills that I get through this program. And it has also built my confidence. Yes, that I am a leader and I don't necessarily have to learn, and education does not necessarily have to occur or take place in the four walls of a classroom. Thank you.
Still on that, you mentioned real world examples. Could you give an instance, those real world skills? Could you give an example of some of the skills that you've learned that maybe initially before you started, you didn't realize that it was something that you needed to know for the workplace?
Okay. Some of the skills I've learned actually is time management, because as a student and also combining, because I cannot only be a student, right? So combining other stuff. So I try to like manage my time in studying and as well as other life challenges and personal stuff.
It's a very, very good example. I can assure you that people in the workplace are still learning time management.
Using the Elsinore matrix, the
Yes.
first quadrant, second
Okay.
quadrant,
Second quadrant
third
in terms
and
of
fourth quadrant,
delegation.
knowing
Right.
the one where to place importance, urgency, and
Yes.
all of
No,
that.
fantastic. Thank you so much. But no, I was actually I'm very serious about that time management. Some of us need our calendars to remind us. I know I'm not speaking for just myself when I say that. And it's a good thing that you mentioned that in terms of skills. One of the things that I've seen, and I know that for a lot of us we've seen, is that many graduates struggle with workplace readiness, despite the strong academic foundations or just also being able to learn some of these skills even on their own, right? How exactly, and I think let me start with Dr. Ayoteju and then I'll come to you, David. How exactly do you believe that initiatives like this can address that sort of skills mismatch that we see? And when David was talking earlier, he talked about soft skills. And I struggle with the term soft because it makes it feel like it's not important. For me, it's essential skills. These are skills that are actually very essential. But just looking at it like an from a public sector point of view, how do you believe that initiatives like this can actually address such mismatch?
Thank you very much. I would actually commend the Sterling Foundation and the Sterling family for this initiative. Is one of those that we've been advocating for, and we want to say thank you for that. When they do things like this, there is an awareness, and I would enjoy them to put it out there so that other students too um, um, can aspire to be part of. Even if they are not here, they know that it is relevant, and they know that they have to also make sure that they do such things. If they have friends that have been here, they can even ask them. Then, when we go for accreditation, while we are assessing the students, we assess the hard and soft skills. So it's important for the university to ensure that their students go through this. It's not just the book, because employers are not looking for just first class. They are looking for a complete person. Even attitude. Attitude goes a long way. Some people feel like, okay, let me use an example of scholarship abroad. You may be the best in your class and you may not get it. Even jobs. They want a child that is complete, you know that you have the responsibility to take care of others, to give back to the society, and also manage people well, irrespective of whatever they are, whether they are sports, whether they are black, they are white, they are or their religion. You have to do it the right way. And I really, if the students here are intentional in Nigeria about making that change and being that complete person, it will really go a long way in Africa. There are a lot of Nigerians doing well now, with young children. We have the highest maybe population of youth population. We have about 70% of our youth, depending on how we classify it, whether the UN or we want to use 15 to 35, depending on the category we want to use. Anyhow, we want to use it, we still have a lot of youth here. And some of them want to grow, some of them want to be a better version of themselves, whereas some don't care. That's the problem we are also having. Those that don't care are increasing too. But when we have a lot that care and are intentional about doing well, they will influence those that are not doing well, and they won't be influenced by those that are not doing well by the peer pressure coming from them.
Thank you. Thank you. Coming back to you, David. So, first of all, I would actually want to commend Sterling Bank and Sterling One Foundation for this actual initiative. I remember when it was trending on X, formerly known as Twitter, because we always have to add that. There was a lot of questions, and I know I was reading tweets and, people were asking, oh, hi, are you sure it's not their family members that are, and things like that. And it's, first of all, I mean, it's typical. There will always be that doubt. And I want to actually come back to you before I come to you, Mr. Kemini. Could you just walk us through what it was like? Tell us the process, tell us the anxiety, and tell us how you feel now in terms of being a scholar.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. So, first of all, I had some people from Sterling Bank walk up to me and tell me, "Oh, you have to create an account with Sterling Bank." I had known Sterling Bank before now, the zero transfer fees, but I never thought of opening an account with Sterling Bank. So they're like, "Okay, just create an account with us, zero transfer fees." So I was like, "Okay, fine." And then we were just discussing with one of them, and I mentioned that I love tech, right? Because I work also as an administrative assistant. So he was like, okay, we have opportunities for you. And we have the 2 billion naira scholarship for 600 Nigerians coming up. That just check our website and apply. At first, I was skeptical, honestly, because I was like, oh, scholarship. I've applied for scholarships before and I did not get any. So I applied, I checked their website, and I saw the option of nominate someone or nominate yourself. So I nominated myself, right? Yes, I nominated myself. I completed the process. I was like, okay, what course? Okay. I just chose what I had always wanted. And so after that, I got a mail from Sterling Bank telling me that, okay, that these are the steps, my profile will be live, and voting is excluded to Sterling Bank customers. So I went through all of that, and I also applied on Miva websites, and I got the admission from Miva, and I was like, oh wow, really? Without wasting so much time, unlike the normal universities that we know, right? So after that, I got a mail from Miva telling me that I've enrolled my courses, and Sterling Bank actually paid my school fees. And I was like, wow. The amount is
Where
so
was Sterling Bank
huge.
when I was going to school? That's the question I want to know. Like, would you fund PhDs, Mr. Abu? Just would you? I can come and meet you later for that. Yes, okay.
Yeah, the amount is so huge, actually. Like, I was so surprised. I thought they were going to be like, okay, after a session. But Fortunately and luckily for me, they paid everything. Yes, they paid everything. Thank you, Sterling Bank, the one customer bank. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sterling Bank. And that is a really, really great story, just going through that process. And, you said you had applied for scholarships, but you see, you got one. So there you go. Um, and then coming back to you, David. So you've interacted with some of these scholars. Earlier on, I met Taiwan Kehinde and we took a picture together. Yes, wave. Yes, yeah, there we go. And we took a picture outside. Um, what does it feel like for you seeing something that came as an idea come to life, and now you're seeing a lot of young men and women who've gone through the program?
Um, Luckily, I'm in product management. And in product management, the cycle is from idea to launch. And I can tell you from experience that no matter how familiar you are with the acceleration of launch, every time something new, an idea that was hashed out, was talked about, was bandied around for quite a bit, every time that it comes to fusion, there's that acceleration. It's really exciting. And even more so, talking about working with, from the previous pilot, there's even more exhilarating end when they go through the process and you can literally see that development. I always did ask about their academics, but I also never gave them the excuse of slacking at work. And so seeing that development happen over the period is I don't know. is interesting.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I don't know if we have any questions from the audience. Do we have any questions? Or are we all mind blown? Or we are waiting for the next cohort so we can apply. Which one is it? Yes, I'm getting a few yeses. Okay. Okay, I see we have some questions. It's just one. Don't be shy. Okay, while he's coming up, you said one. Is this from one person? It's one person. Wow. A, B, C, D, E. I just wanted to just put it out there that we have 5 questions in one. Um, Let me ask you this, David. One of the questions says, what gaps can technology fill in the education sector or the education system?
I think that's already obvious. Um, if you look at the capacity of tertiary institutions in Nigeria, we've talked about this over and over again. It's already like a broken record. But and look at what Miva is doing, right? The introduction of technology is opening tertiary education. So you're no longer constrained by the four walls of a university. You can fire up a laptop and you have quality education from an institution like Miva. That's all the illustration that you will need. Now if you comparing the population of people that could go to school and the capacity of people, of our institutions to take, the people that can go to school, it's a 95% difference. Now, those 95% people can actually go to school now because of technology. That's such a significant contribution to what education is.
Thank you. Dr. Ayatedru, now, before, traditionally, when you talked about universities, it was always physical, right? So physical universities. I remember when I was picking where I wanted to go to school and we had pictures. I picked my school for my bachelor's because of the picture of the school. Yeah, my priorities were very, 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 very good at that point. Now, the world is changing. And the blessing of COVID also showed us that so much can be done without having a physical space. How do you believe that edtech, or how would you say that with the changing face of education now, especially with edtech, how do you see it affecting what you do, especially from a public sector point of view?
Thank you very much. Um, it's affecting it positively, not negatively. Let's just know that it's positive. Just like he said, access, not everybody that want to go to school that can go to school. And we saw that, and we started encouraging people to do open distance learning. Like now, Miva, you see on Miva's website that is accredited by NUC boldly, because if it is not accredited by NUC, the graduate is going to have a problem. Is not going to be employed in Nigeria and outside the world, because they come to us to find out if this person actually went to school, or is this school accredited, is this course accredited, is this program accredited. Even in Nigeria, some companies come to confirm before they employ their students. So then, teaching students, you don't have to travel all the way to go and receive lectures, or even defend your project, or do whatever you want to do. You can do it from your home, or even from anywhere in the world. Whether you are doing something else, you are working, or you are even in another school, you can be combining two programs together if you think you need it. It's not just because I people are doing it, I want to do it. You can you can do different certification programs, you can be doing that. Then some online, you pay your school fees online, everything is so convenient. There are so many forms you can fill. Even the quality assurance we are doing, we do it online too. You fill some things online and we assess. We also do training. We train lecturers, VCs, everybody online. They don't have to come to NUC, and we run it like a school. It's called VICPE, Virtual Institute for Capacity Building in Higher Education. And you start from beginning, your practicals are online, your graduation is online, everything is online. So it is a positive thing. The only thing is that we have to put things in place to check those that may want to be cheating or be using it negatively. Like the Ministry of Digital, the communication is trying to establish to make sure that students have access to internet from their hostels, and they've started that with 7 universities now. They are starting as a pilot study. And the one at Unilag, I can remember vividly advising those students not to use it negatively, because you can use it negatively, but it's good when you use it positively. You will enjoy, and you thank God for helping you to achieve, for providing that platform to achieve what you are achieving. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe we have one question, one live question. Yes,
Okay.
please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Oladipukbo Adshegeri. I have a question. Recently, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, federal government introduced a new curriculum for junior and secondary schools, right? It has to do with the introduction of AI, software development, programming, and all of that. It's good, right? So my question is, how will this new introduction affect the university curriculum in terms of course structure, teaching approach, and also expectation from incoming students?
Okay. Thank you very much. Like I said earlier, that this is from you have to start education from beginning. That's what you are saying now. It's not just until you get to the university, because you might have been formed, and the values you have while growing up may affect how you are going to make good use of your university education. It is a platform. If somebody is paying, somebody is actually like her, Starling is paying. Some of you, federal government is paying. Some of you, your parents are paying. You have to make good use of that opportunity. And what you are going to take out of it is from beginning. So introducing it to the primary and secondary school is a good thing. And the cyber security aspect of it needs to be emphasized, especially because you have to be cyber protected, you have to be cyber conscious, because if you are not careful, even Starling Bank, I'm sure, will be cyber conscious, because when these hackers come, they can hack into your whatever software or data, and it's going to cost you a lot of things. Then the AI, you use it, the student can use AI positively, like I said earlier, but don't use it negatively. You use it positively. When you use it positively, it even makes you lazy, because it's there, everything is there, it's just for you to know how to use it. And when you use it well, you are going to be so excellent and distinct. Why are students getting 300 these days compared to those days when we were writing jam? Before you see 300, you do like this, but now 300 is like water, because you have the platforms to read, you have the software, you can sit down here and be reading. Those days you carry that, you have to, it's hard copy, it's not virtual, so you have to put yourself in that condition. But now you can read anywhere. You even have more young CEOs now, than we used to have before, because we have entrepreneur center in universities. And if you use your AI well, it's going to help you establish your business very well. A lot of young people are making money. When did we start making money? I Under 18 are already making millions. And it's not just what they teach them in class, it's when you are using your AI. The class is just like a benchmark, a tool for you to know how to go about it. When they are teaching you, pay attention and make good use of that opportunity. Yes, you may have another opportunity, but when you have lost time and resources, you may not be able to get them back. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. For the additional questions that are here, I'm holding on to it because we have another session, and I think these questions are better suited for that session. I would like to thank you very much, Ms. Ekemini. We will be looking forward to see when you become female president, yes, because that's what our MC said. Dr. Ayoteju, thank you so much. And Mr. David Adebayo, thank you so much for your time. One more question. Okay, one more question.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for this, Sterling Bank. As a leader in a primary institution, I'm always looking out for my children. And I wanted to ask if you had any programs for children in the primary institutions, specifically in underrepresented areas, where the programs, will encourage them in terms of staying on track all the way to the tertiary institutions, because you find that a lot of children start off very well, but they get lost along the way and don't make it to the end. So do you have any programs that do this?
No, not currently. But we're not unaware of the issue that you have highlighted. We were looking for the area of greatest impact and swiftly, right? We're not unaware of it. We have different other things, other research going into those areas to see what we can do, and hopefully in a short while we'll come up with something.
So watch this space. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much. And I think I will hand over now to our honorable executive host, who will take us on the next session. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Can we make that applause a reverberating one? I beg of you. Did you enjoy the session? Okay, I did myself. A very big thank you to Sterling Bank for making this possible, thinking of the next generation. There are so many organizations, they don't even think of the next generation. They don't think of building lives of younger people. In my days, we never had platforms like this. We never had platforms like this. We only had platforms where you could go watch a movie, go and watch a stage play or something. But educational platforms that would disrupt the country, disrupt the society, disrupt the way we think. We never had anything like that back in the days. But so, Sterling Bank, thank you so much. Big ups to our MD. Thank you, Mr. Abu. Thank you so much for your vision. And we pray that it will outlive you. While we're putting this together for the next item, I remember I was at Sterling Bank a couple of years back. I wanted to get a loan. So while I was talking to the manager, I saw an older man standing outside. So from the part of the country where I'm from, if you see an older person standing, you have to move for them to be attended to. So I got up, I told the bank manager, allow me to stand aside while you attend to him. So when the man spoke, I got to know the area of the country where he came from. So interestingly, from the east. He said, bank manager, I want to take a loan. The bank manager said, what? He said, bank manager, I want loan. The bank manager said, is it loan? He said, bank manager, you know the name, give me the money. The bank manager said, okay, no problem. Do you have any form of collateral? He said, bank manager, my business is not it's me, myself, and I. The bank manager said, no. Okay, what do you do? He said, bank manager, I sell animals, goats, cow. The bank manager said, fantastic. That will pass for collateral. I said, okay. How many heads of goats and cows do you have? He said, bank manager, I have over 50,000 heads of cow and also 100,000 heads of goats. The bank manager said, fine, we'll give you the loan. They gave him the loan with the interest and everything. He came back 6 months after with 3 sacks of money. He said, bank manager, this is the loan that you gave to me. He returned it. He said, bank manager, this is the interest from the loan. He dropped it. Then he carried the third sack. He was leaving. The bank manager called him. Why are you going with your money? He said, bank manager, this money, it is my money. The bank manager said, no. Sterling Bank is a wonderful financial institution. We'll take care of your money. We'll grow your money. Your children will benefit. Your children's children will benefit. That is what Sterling Bank stands for. The man looked at him and said, bank manager, you want to keep my money? He said, yes. He said, bank manager, do you have collateral? So we are set. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite all our scholars. I'd like them to join us on stage. Can we give them a round of applause as they make their way to the stage? Please, can we make way for them as they come? So we'll be taking pictures. Are we all here? Can we move down a little bit more? I would like the lady at the extreme to please come to the middle. Please come to the middle. Let's have the ladies in the middle, please. Thank you so much. Allow me to invite our MD, Mr. Bubakar. Please, can you join us here? Can we give him a round of applause? Your vision is coming to light. No, you can join the ladies. And also allow me to invite the CEO of Sterling One Foundation, Olakweju Ibekwe. She's making her way from the back. All right, ma'am. You're most welcome. Can I also have the CEO, Madam Temitaya Deguke? I would prefer, okay, I would like you to be here. Madam, I would like you to be there. Guys, you need to keep these pictures very well. Oh. These pictures can give you visa to Canada without any interview. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take pictures quickly, and then one of the graduates will speak to us. Before you go, sir, I would like Deborah to speak while you're still standing. Are we done with the pictures? We're good? Are we good with the pictures? Okay, they said we are good. Forgive me. Please, you may go back to your seat. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am. Debbie will be speaking on behalf of everyone.
Good day to the Sterling team, Chancellor Miva Open University, distinguished guests, members of the press. My name is Ikemini Deborah Thomas Ben, and I'm a proud recipient of the Sterling Beyond Education Scholarship. Today, I stand here on behalf of all recipients to express our deepest gratitude to Sterling Bank for giving us this opportunity, which is geared towards achieving our dreams. This scholarship is not just financial support, but also symbol of hope and validation. For many of us, beyond education scholars, our academic journey has not been without struggles. I remember moments when the weight of financial pressure made the future seem uncertain and opportunities felt so far away. But receiving this scholarship felt like Sterling Bank saying to us, "We see you, keep going." That message alone renewed our confidence and determination. And I know I'm not alone. Each of us here has a story, stories of resilience, rejection, sacrifice, and persistence. Indeed, this has proved to us that our efforts are not in vain, and it reminds us that our dreams are valid. Looking ahead, we are more determined than ever to succeed, not just for ourselves, but for the people around us. With the support of Sterling Bank, we are inspired to pay this opportunity forward, to excel academically, to give back to our communities, and to be worthy ambassadors of the Sterling Bank vision. Thank you, Sterling Bank and Miva Open University, for your collaboration in investing in our dreams and for lighting a path that leads beyond education. Because of you, we no longer see obstacles, rather, we see possibilities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Before you leave, can you put your right hand where your heart is located? You put your name. We can't hear you. I promise to be of good cheer, promise to be a disruptor, promise to be a change agent, promise to be a transformer, promise to live the styling dream, and promise to make Nigeria better. Please, can we give them a round of applause? I beg of you. You may go back to your seats. Thank you so much. Let's keep clapping for them. So while we arrange can I get help for us to put the stage back together? I'd like to just share another short story with you of what happened to me my first time ever at Silverbird Cinemas. After the cinemas, the movie, I was standing outside with a friend of mine. We're trying to get suya, that by NTA. And then I saw these two guys arguing ferociously. What's going? The next thing I saw, one of the guys ran to this building. I can't remember the name now. Went to the topmost floor and was standing at the edge, just as I'm standing here. And then I went to the guy down there. I said, "Come, what's going on between the two of you? Why are you here and the guy up there?" When he spoke, I got to know that he was from Liberia. He said, "Mame, the guy up there." I said, "Yes, what's he doing there? That the guy up there wants to know the length of the building." I said, "He wants to know the length of the building." I said, "How?" "He wants to know the length of the building by jumping down." I said, "Okay. So you that you are down here, what are you here for?" He said, "Mame, he wants to know the length of the building by jumping down. He said I should catch him." I said, "So will you catch him?" He said, "Mame, look at me very well. You think I'm a big fool? I'm going to leave him to bounce 3 times before I catch him." Is the guy not dead? So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite once again for the next session. The main session, actually. Allow me to bring up my chairlady, my madam. Please give a round of applause for Sheila OJ. Let's keep clapping for her till she gets here. I'm honored to share the same shoe designers with her. Yes.
Okay, and I'm back again. Yay. Now we're going into the leadership conversation, which is SLS that it is, so Sterling Leadership Series. And I think today's session is one that I have been looking forward to. We've had quite a few in terms of different conversations, and one of the beautiful things about our leadership sessions is the leadership series is being able to understand the why, understand the real person behind the name. And so it is with great honor that I welcome Mr. Sim Shagaya to join us on stage. Please keep clapping. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Looking forward to the conversation. Let's see if I can turn this on. Thank you.
All right. So first things first, I know a few people that have worked with you. Yeah. And one person in particular, I called and I said, "Hey, I'm going to have a session with Mr. Sim later today. What would you say about him?" Because there's one thing when you see the profiles online, and then it's another to speak to someone who's actually worked and experienced what is your leadership as a leader. And so she gave me a few words, and I want you to say whether it's true or false.
Okay.
First one, risk taker.
True.
Driven.
True.
Passionate.
True.
Great to work with.
True.
Resilient.
True.
Respected.
True.
Workaholic.
Yes.
Thank you for your honesty. So I think let's start from the very beginning. What would you say? I mean, we know you've built a lot of platforms across different industries. What would you say has been your why? And what keeps driving you to keep going on?
Thanks for that question. That's actually the most. I think it's a really good question to start with. But before I say that, I just want to say thank you to
the Sterling Bank team and the One Foundation team. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for everything that you do. This is an incredible institution. It's much more than a financial institution. You're really building something special. I think not just in the financial sector, everybody could learn something from you guys. Abu, thank you for your leadership, for your friendship. You're just a special person. So I think that's a really good question to start with. Those kinds of questions generally have more than one answer. I think but all of it is grounded, I think, in a love for Nigeria and Africa and larger Black civilization, if you like. So it looks like I've jumped from thing to thing, from e-commerce to education, and now interested in agriculture and processing. But the common thread that ties all of those things together is really just it's a desire to build the foundational pillars for a modern, prosperous society. For a society to function, you need some of these things. There's a bit of nostalgia tied into it also. I think Abu and I come from the same generation as several people in this room. I was born in 1975. And so I actually got to see a Nigeria that was functioning a bit in the 70s and into the 80s, as many of us did. And then it seemed like a decline started right as I became a teenager. And so there's this, I remember growing up in Kaduna and I lived in Gombe, and it didn't seem odd living in those places. And I was trained entirely up until when I went to university by the Nigerian federal government. The Army Wives Association Nursery School, Command Children's School Ikeja, Command Children's School Kaduna. And these were functional institutions. Nigeria worked. Even as a middle class family, there was an ice cream man driving down the street. And so there's this deep desire I think I have to try and redeem, to get us back to those days and to even take us beyond that. So that's part of it. But like I said, also, I mean, I think going into the 90s, and you thought that Nigeria was a basket case, even up until up until 10 years ago, maybe. And you could kind of shrug your shoulders and say, "Oh, it's all over." But I think as I started to build entrepreneurial businesses and watch other people do it, many who have done more profound work than I have, then you get it. Your hope fuels you, and you think that we can actually build this modern, prosperous society. It actually is within our reach. And so, if I can have a part in doing that and society rewards me in the process, whether it's monetarily or getting to sit on stage and talk to people like you, then I'm very happy for it. But the fundamental thing is we have to build this country, we have to build this society. We have to take our rightful place in the world in terms of historical context. We're great people. We've forgotten this. We don't remember this, that we had civilization, we're working iron, working brass, creating statues that compared to Greek statues, while Persian Arabs were herding camels. We were way ahead. And we have to return to those days. So that's kind of part of what drives me.
Thank you, and please a round of applause for that. Thank you. Just that, listening to you talking about it, we have to return to those days. We have to return to the days where, as I'm told, that living in Nigeria was a lot more. I'm Gen Z, by the way, in case you didn't know that. Okay, yeah, I don't know why are we some people humming now?
You didn't see those days.
So
you didn't get to see
as much younger. Wow, people don't believe me, but it's okay. And so just listening to you say that in terms of going back to what it was like and going back to a time where education meant a lot, and at the same time, the quality of education meant a lot. But we also see that the world is changing. It's changing so much, It's evolving really, really fast.
Yes.
What would you say are in today's world, the skills that are or expire quite quickly? And what traits must individuals have to be able to stay relevant regardless of the decades that go by?
Yeah, so it's another good question. So generally speaking, and it's a very difficult question to answer. And when you find questions that are difficult to answer, and this is just advice also for some of the younger people in the room, when you find questions that seem impossible to answer, it generally means you're asking the wrong question. So, like you rightly said, the world is changing so fast. Even when I went to undergraduate, I studied electrical engineering. I remember even the professors would tell us that what we learned in first year, by the time we got to third year, was all obsolete. That's even faster now. Everything is changing so fast. There are new job titles being created, new roles, new. I mean, 10 years ago, 15, what was a social media influencer 10 years ago? Did that even exist? It didn't even exist. And there will be new roles created. So if everything is changing so fast, then the answer to the question, I think, is to develop. I'm going to use a word here that you've heard of, but maybe we can dive into a little bit. The answer is to develop meta skills. So that word meta, I mean, you guys familiar? You know the company Meta. So meta generally means something that enables something else. So a meta food for like chicken would be soybean feeds chicken, right? So meta skills will be the skills that feed skills. And those will be the skills that you have to cultivate. And some of them may sound like a bit moral, and maybe this is where there's a basis for some of these things, but I'll just describe a few of them. The first is just real, deep, genuine humility. I don't think you succeed in today's world by assuming you know everything. You have to approach knowledge and skill acquisition with real humility. And that has implications for the way organizations are designed, for cultures of organizations. And the flip side of that humility, of course, is curiosity. I know for me, one thing that has helped me, I didn't really recognize it in myself till my wife kind of brought it to, I thought it was just normal. I thought everybody acted this way. But I think one thing I do is if I pick a topic until I decide I'm exhausted or I decide there's nowhere else I can go with it, is I will just obsessively just dive into it and read and study and ask questions. Sometimes I ask questions till my friends or the expert I'm talking to gets annoyed with me and tells me to stop asking. It's one of the reasons I love AI, by the way, because I have a chat with I have both of them, ChatGPT and Gemini, and I talk to them for different things. And I told one time I apologized to GPT by mistake. I said, "I'm sorry, I'm asking the same question again," and the thing actually said, "No, don't worry, I'm infinitely patient." And I just thought, and my wife felt threatened at that point. So, but there's a lot of curiosity that goes along with surviving in today's world. This isn't a period anymore where you spend 21 years downloading knowledge and you apply that knowledge for the rest of your life. Take a step back. You have to have some perspective here. What I'm telling you is very real. That framework of learning came from the industrial age. It came from the age of factories where you learned one thing and then you did the same thing over and over and over again. That world is gone. So this is a very different world. I think another feature of this new world is you have to be multidisciplinary. You can't just say I'm a machinist in a shop or I'm a chemical engineer, I'm a material scientist. Even if you have a core specialty, you have to stray outside of that core specialty into human psychology, sometimes it's into design, sometimes into analytical thinking. You have to stray out of your core. So these are the meta skills, I think. It's not so much the skills anymore. It's instead cultivating some of those higher order things that allow you to continue to survive and adapt. And as the world changes, you continue to adapt. We're going to see some miracles over the next. They've already started. I mean, some of the things we see these days are truly miraculous. We're going to see something. It's just like human beings, we just get so used to miracles. But we're going to see some incredible things. So if you want to thrive in that world, I think humility, curiosity, cross-disciplinary thinking, resilience, grit. I think these are some of the skills.
Thank you for that. And interesting that you were talking about ChatGPT. I'm a huge fan of ChatGPT, by the way,
Yeah,
and Gemini and Claude. Have
yeah,
you
it's
tried
become
chatting in Pidgin English to ChatGPT?
No, I
You
haven't.
should try it. It's really
Really?
cool. Yeah, it's really cool.
Okay.
Has anyone else tried it, or is it just me? Hey, I know my fellow people now. So yeah, try it. It actually responds in
But
pidgin.
you know, it's contextual. It remembers everything you say and do.
Yeah, so just
So I don't
keep it
want
light,
to.
keep it
Okay,
light,
all
keep it
right.
light. Yeah,
Before the
yeah.
thing turns
Yeah.
Urobo or Ijo or something.
So just like, and from everything you've talked about, the meta skills and all that, we see that there is a lot of challenging of what is education or what we see as education, or challenging, let me say, traditional education,
Yeah.
what we see as traditional. With Miva and also you, Listen, what do you believe is the real measure of being educated today?
Hmm. Well, it definitely goes beyond the certificate on the wall. That's not the measure anymore. It goes beyond sort of knowledge that's acquired, and we've tried to infuse this into Miva. Several of our students are here. Actually, I ran into people working in here, and hopefully they can testify that this is the case. I think it's not so much that have you downloaded a bunch of knowledge into your head. Is can you actually execute on the project? Can you actually get something done? Can you write the code? Can you actually produce something? That's the real measure of education today, I think. It's not so much about certification. Certification is important, but it's just a proxy for that you've learned something. But I think what society is looking for now, what employers are looking for, is somebody that actually gets in and actually gets the job done. So you see increasingly during job interviews or during performance evaluations, what is being measured is productivity. Actual ability to just get work done, and that's another. Uh, how can I put this? I'm walking into dangerous territory now. At a time when we're all on social media, the individual that minimizes that time on social media and actually refines their craft and ability to get things done runs circles around everybody else. It's that simple. I'm not making the rules. I tell this to my kids all the time. If you're actually, while all your friends are on TikTok, if you're actually the person getting stuff done, you're just going to own the place, right? And so, it's minimizing distractions. Social media is important. I mean, you share pictures. Everybody wants to see your cat. Um, your kids growing up, maybe more importantly. But I think it's about productivity now. Actually, just get, and that's a habit. I want to encourage you guys. I mean, let me be honest. I envy anybody under the age of 40 right now, especially if you're under the age of 30. Like you're coming into Nigeria at just the most amazing time. I know it doesn't feel that way, but I assure you it is. I mean, at the time I was your age, it was a very, very different place. Abacha's government was just ending. Lagos just seemed, it was a very different Lagos. You got shiny buildings popping up everywhere. I know you guys normalize this. You think it's not normal. Uh, so it's an amazing time. And so if you're able to be productive, these painful reforms, this is something I talk about a lot with my friends and family. I'm not really political. I'm not partisan. I don't care one way or the other about political parties. But these reforms that we've gone through that are so painful, that have caused so much pain, I've kind of described them as like drug withdrawals. Like we've lived on just a very artificial kind of economy for a long time. And to be honest with you, if it wasn't that Nigeria is just such a profoundly economically gifted country, if you pull these reforms off in any other place, the place would have caught fire. And it just tells you that this economy is maybe larger than we're measuring. But it has set the stage now for real economic growth. And so, the ability to just get out of yourself, form the habit of waking up and saying every day I'm going to achieve three things. I know I've turned your question into a motivational talk now, but it's not just about the accumulation of certificates anymore. I know you can't take that away from Nigerians. We love our PhDs, I might even do a PhD. I'm applying right now. Really, yes. I just have to be called doctor. And so,
Yeah.
and so, but beyond the certificates, it's about just really getting things done. Yeah, and it's a habit. It's like a muscle you build, and then it becomes second nature. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for that. I know it feels like a motivational speech, but I know there's a lot of points that you raised. So one is about I was going to say eliminating, but I know some people might not agree, distractions, and being productive. It's that thing about productivity. And we're in a world where I find that there's a lot of activity, but there's very little productivity. People are very active. They tell you everything. I woke up this morning and went here and I did that and all
Yes.
that. But when it comes to the actual quote unquote evidence, or as my fellow Gen Z call it, showing doings, is that how we say it? Show doings? What? Sorry. Walk-ins. Oh yeah,
Walk-ins.
apparently we call
I
it
know that. I
walk-ins.
know. I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that.
yeah. Walk-ins. There's walk-ins. What? Walk-ins, not church. Oh, see, yeah, so much.
Walk-ins.
They keep updating the
How
vocabulary.
do you use that in a sentence?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
Eh?
Show your
Show
walk-ins.
your walk-ins.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I knew that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So productivity is basically showing your walk-ins. I think at this point they understand it better
Yes.
now that we've said it that way. So just looking at all of that and just seeing that in education is one thing, certificates is another, and we come from a country where we like to have the letters and the certificates and the different ones. I studied accounting. My mother is still obsessed that I'm not yet chartered because she just feels like I should have that.
Yes. That.
I just need to have it.
The letters.
Yeah. And just looking at that, I think one of the things that for me is just seeing how, with everything changing, with how education is changing, and the role that technology is playing in all of this. Earlier on, we're talking about skills gap. We're talking about, what a lot of students go to school for and they come out with, and then they go into the world and realize that that's not what they need at work. How exactly, again, just looking at Miva and you lesson, but how can technology and entrepreneurship close the gap between what schools are teaching and what the society needs today?
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good question. So the reason it seems so problematic is because the pace of work or progress in these two things you've mentioned. So you mentioned schools or education. So big letter E, the primary, secondary, tertiary institutions, and then technology. On the one hand, educational institutions and the educational system moves very slow. It's one of the sectors that is most resistant to change. Maybe it's only superseded by healthcare, and that's for good reason. It's for good reason because you make changes, it has massive impact across the society, and when you have that kind of power, you want to be very slow. But on the other hand, technology is very very fast. It's very quick. It's very fast, and so I think the world we're going to and is that you want okay, so you want certain segments of the society, private sector, technology, to innovate faster and to iterate quicker, while certain segments, for example government, is much slower, and that's fine. And that also speaks to the kind of investments that they even make. But in Miva, for example, I mean, we developed our mission from the very beginning was we wanted to develop educational services that were very high quality, highly accessible, and affordable. And we're not going to compromise about this at all. We're not going to be a degree mill that just prints out diplomas. I think if you asked any of our students, who's a MIVA student today here? Any? Okay. Postgraduate or undergrad? Do you feel like you're working hard? Okay. So we're very deliberate about making you feel like you're doing push-ups. a lot of sort of online and distance learning institutions, you feel like you just come, you gloss over, you get a degree, you go away. Like we're actually making them do work. And to speak to our previous conversation we just had, we want you to feel like embedded in the curriculum that you're building things. You're actually making things happen. You're working collaboratively with people. You're producing outputs. You're discussing with an AI voice. You're going to visit the National Assembly if you're a master's in public administration student. You're listening to committee deliberations. So actually making you do things. So we're very, very determined about this. There are some parts of it though that, like distribution. In technology, you talk about distribution in all business actually. That only the slow traditional institutions, whether it's private or public sector, can do. The real estate, the computing, the smartphones. Have you noticed that even though digital services have gotten cheaper, hardware is still pretty much the same price? It's like a grand conspiracy of manufacturers. The prices have not changed. So there are certain parts of our society, I think notably government, that has to play a role in providing access. But then those of us that are much more nimble, much more innovative, we can sit on top of that and innovate much quicker. We don't have a choice. We've got 50% of this African population is under the age of 18. 50%. I don't know if you guys have seen these YouTube videos where they rank population growth and the countries are shifting and changing and the ranks are changing. I turned 50 this year. I keep saying that. And I didn't shave today, so you can see a bit of gray. And by the time, it puts it in perspective. 50 is an interesting number. You start looking at everything differently. And then you think by 2035, I'll be 60. Now, by 2035, we will be the fourth most populated country in this world. Yeah, yes, so it will be China, India, Pakistan, Nigeria. Even right now, this year, I said this to my board of directors the other day, and we got a lot of wows. Nigeria is now adding a Belgium every year. Every year. We're adding almost a Norway every year. So everything is about to change. Everything is going to create a lot of opportunity, but man, it's going to create a lot of challenges. I'll be 65 in my house in Jos. I'll be laughing at you guys. I'll be looking at watching television, and I'll just be giggling away. It's going to be very, very interesting times. I'll stop there for a rumble.
Just that, fourth most populated country. That's more traffic for us. Have you thought about that?
For Miva?
Not for opportunities for Miva, yeah. But like, I'm thinking about Lagos, the traffic that's that's a lot.
Hopefully the line to Lekki will be done by then. And,
but it provides a lot of opportunities for us, and that is what stands out amidst everything.
Yes.
Interestingly, you mentioned AI, and this was one of the questions that was submitted earlier, and I think this would be a right time to ask that question. How should artificial intelligence be used in education? And I see that Miva is already doing something like that, but how exactly should it?
This is where I was going before, and I kind of lost my thoughts. I apologize. So we don't have a choice. We have to innovate. This is where I was going with the population comment. So the UN has all kinds of recommendations as to how much of a country's budget should be spent on education. It's rising. This is, I think, the highest this past year that it's been in, 8-10 years. But we haven't hit that target. But even if we hit that target, there is no way using the old way of doing things that we will ever be able to educate 6 million Belgians every year. It just doesn't work. The math just does not work. And it's actually one of the investment theses that drove me into education. When you look at a problem and the existing system, the math simply just doesn't. The math is not mathing. They have everything.
They've updated vocabulary. Yeah,
I know that one too, by the way. The math is not mathing. So you know that there's opportunity. So how are we going to do this? The infrastructure is not enough. But we have connectivity, we have devices, device penetration is there. The teachers are not enough, even the most well-intentioned teachers. And I know we can draw a blanket statement about, oh, professors are this, but they are good people. That there are some that are actually good. I'll give you some statistics. So the United States, I think teacher-student ratio in K-12, teacher to student ratio is about 1 to 20. Depends on who you're asking, UN or whatever. In China, that number is about 1 to 25. In India, it's about 1 to 35. In Nigeria, the average is 1 to 90. And there's one school, in doing research about this, we actually put people in the field to go and inquire about this. There was one school in one local government we found where there was a teacher, one single teacher in a school with a student body of 900. So what do you do? Right? It doesn't work. And this is the reason why, frankly, Africa is leading in AI. I would say we actually are. Some of the things we're doing in MIVA, we know definitively that nobody else is doing. Why? Because we just don't have a choice. And this is why we're ultimately going to lead in this. Our desperation will force us to innovate. It's also the reason why the regulator here is so liberal. I also want to urge young people, I know there's a lot of cynicism about government, and some of it is deserved. But because of the pressure of the realities, the demographics, the macroeconomics, for example, we've grown MIVA from September 2023 to September this year. We're crossing 15,000 students today, I think. Jawad, am I right? That's our CFO over there, by the way. That's Jawad. We should cross 15,000 today or tomorrow, I think. So we're 15,000 students. But here's the interesting thing. 1,000 of those students were added in the last 10 days. So the thing is accelerating fast. So, I've lost my thought again. Yes. So, the reason we're able to do that is because of this application of technologies. We just don't have a choice. It's the only way. And then when you start to climb that rung of innovation, you start to see that you can do some interesting things. So we first wanted you to, use AI to talk to AI to remind you that you haven't logged on to the LMS. You should log in and take your classes. And then we figured out, why don't we stretch this out? And maybe, instead of doing a case study on Sterling Bank, we actually synthesize Abu's voice and then have Abu talk to MBA students, and this is something we're building right now. We've actually tested it out with the public administration students, and we'll be coming to you soon, hopefully, to license your voice. And so Abu can be one asking you, I'm facing the strategic decision. Here are here are the opportunities, here are the challenges. What do you think I should do? And you can have that conversation. And this is how Africa now starts to innovate and to get ahead and to get ahead and to get ahead.
Thanks. And just seeing that evolution of education and the we don't have a choice. Someone said that. But in addition to that, it's just 10 years from now, only God knows what education would look like.
Oh, yes.
In 10 years from now, especially with everything that's going on. You mentioned government earlier. How can, from your view, how can the private sector leaders better connect with government in terms of advancing education? Because, like you said, education is one sector that is not as fast as technology. I think that's one way I would put it. But how can the private sector be able to put that speed with government or on government for the educational space in Nigeria?
Yes. So government has a huge role to play in education. And again, to dismiss it I think, would be a mistake. If you do not involve government, especially in primary, secondary school, in K-12, you will continue to remain at the edge, at the margin. You will never be mainstream as an edtech entrepreneur or as an edtech company. Government has several layers that they will play where their power is so felt. The first is regulation, and that's what they've historically done. You want to open a primary school in Lagos, you have to go get a license. You open a secondary school, you have to get a license. You want to open a university, you have to go to NUC. The second is in procurement. So, for example, MIVA deployed 45,000 tablets in the Niger Delta with, ULESN with ULESN content on it. But that's not even the part that gets me excited. It's not the regulation, it's not necessarily the procurement. I think it's the part that I would label co-creation that gets me most excited. There are some things that government has, there are some assets that they have that they've invested in with time that only government can do. So, for example, real estate. We're all privy to this. Like you drive from Jos to Abuja or Abuja to Kaduna or Katsina to wherever, and you pass these primary schools or secondary schools that it's just deployed real estate that looks decayed and it looks like dead assets. It looks like non-functional assets on a balance sheet that will never do anything. But when I see that, I see potential distribution. Like government has actually deployed distribution, at least part of distribution. The state governments that will create environments that you and I will be proud of in future, and I think it's going to be state level competition, will be governments that know their role and their place. So I provide infrastructure, I'll provide real estate, and I'll provide connectivity. And then I will, hopefully, preferably, call you lesson to provide the application layer on top of it, provide the services, provide the content, roll on top of my infrastructure. Because you cannot provide all of that infrastructure. You lesson can't do it. Yeah. And we know government cannot innovate. Thankfully, we're at a point where state governments, federal government is starting to say things like, I've heard many governors say the business of government should not be in business, or the business of government is not business. They are acknowledging it now that they can't innovate. And so who can innovate? The private sector, the U lessons of the world. And we're not alone, there are several of us. But government can deploy infrastructure. So, the state governments, I think, that will lead the way will be those that kind of define that role between what government can do and what private sector can do to the benefit of its citizens.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I have a question here, but I also just want to throw it open to know that very soon I will take your questions. So it would be nice if you pass on your questions or you practice if you are bold enough to do the live questions. um, I'm very, very interested about turning ideas and knowledge into impact. And also from just listening to you speak and then just also reading through your profile earlier and having these conversations, and you being someone who has taken a lot of ideas from ideas to actual products. I know David earlier was talking about being a product manager and then just seeing how things come to life. How would you advise the young people below 40, or maybe below 50, I don't know, depends, on how would you advise them or what would you tell them on how to turn their learning into actual solutions, especially if you look at you have scholars here who've gone through the Beyond Education program. You have students here of MIVA. What would you tell them to say this is how you actually turn the things that you're learning into actual impact for their communities?
I touched on the first thing you need a lot of time. You need to make time for yourself. You need 26 hours in a day. You feel like you don't have enough time. And this is why you need to minimize those distractions. So that's the first thing. The second thing I want to acknowledge is that, we all have different roles in this world. Not everybody is born to be an Abu Suleiman. Not everybody is born to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody is born to be the MD of Shell. And then entrepreneurship itself also there's large scale kind of, and then there's, SME scale, and all are important. But there are some commonalities to all of this. We can't really boil this down to a few minutes, but I mentioned resilience before. These journeys are hard. They're very tough, very lonely. Um, you have to be willing to be misunderstood even by people that are closest to you, even people that are dearest to you. There was a very, very close relative, not more than 2 degrees removed. I remember when I was starting U lesson and Miva, just to give you some encouragement and to illustrate, and this is a true story. And this is after Conga and emotion, and I've actually demonstrated businesses. And I remember saying, I want to sort of digitize education. I want to do this. And I remember this is a very blunt lady. That's my relative, and she said, "Oh, that's stupid."
Oh wow.
And I remember just kind of smiling about it. Um, and it sows a doubt, and for the next day or two, you're thinking, should I really do this thing? Even though you don't tell the person, you go back to your room and you're like, is that really stupid? Um, so you be willing to be misunderstood in different ways by different people. So there's all of that, and then the final thing I think is that there is no way. Anything I've done, people, I'm here on stage talking, but I'm here speaking for thousands of people. What I've really done, I think, is to be able to build and edit teams. That's the real skill. That's the hard part. It's finding talent in a context that has historically underinvested in human capital. It's very hard. It's very hard finding skills in Nigeria, and that creates all kinds of secondary effects. So it's building teams, motivating teams in a culture where everybody's fiercely independent. We're very independent people. We're not like Japanese or Swiss people, where you can never, I think, practice fascism in Nigeria. It just won't work. Fascists like Nazi Germans, where you say everybody turn left and everybody turns left. In Nigeria, and one person will say, "Why should I turn left?" And another person will turn right, and another person will sit down. Like, we're fiercely independent people. And so the ability to get a small or a large group of people rowing in one direction is a tough thing.
Yeah.
It's really hard. So when I look at the Abus again, or the Dangotes, or some of these people, I don't even know how Dangote is pulling this thing off. So tens of thousands of employees. So, but you have to work with people. You have to collaborate, which often means that you have to be the last to speak. Which often means that you see a wrong decision being taken, but for the sake of the development of the person and their confidence, you let the decision be taken. If it's a small, it won't cost too much. Let them do it. So there's a lot of wisdom that comes with it. But this is how there's a dozen different things like this that you then start, and then you start to see the magic happen.
Yeah.
That's when you start to see the magic happen. Then you feel the reward. And I pray you all feel that reward when you wake up and you're like, oh, sales last month were 1 million naira, and then 2 years later you're like, oh, sales are 200 million naira for the month. But there's a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah. And thanks for that. And it's interesting. There's a question here that I'm looking at just as a follow up to that. And same question, but then asking in terms of networking, fundraising mindset, and also building resilience in our country's tough economy. What has that been like for you in terms of growing your business and then bringing ideas to life as well?
Ooh. Nigeria will teach you resilience, right? But through it all, I've never doubted my love for this place. Never. Many people know the Conga story. I've talked about it quite a bit. Ultimately, the reason, so just imagine this situation. You're growing an enterprise, the valuation is $150 million. Everything is going well. You're doing precisely what you should do. You're growing very fast, growing faster than India, right? And then devaluation happens, 2014, 2015. Boom, the Naira goes from 100 to 250. All of a sudden, you are not making as much money as you were before. And you think, holy crap, okay, so I have to sell this business. You're forced basically to sell it. And so 2015, 2016, 2017, very tough. And then you finally summon up the courage to say, I'm going to do this thing again. I'm going to try. So 2018, you listen, let's go again. We're going to do this again. And then you do 2018, 2019, 2020, 2023, you're finding your road, you're seeing some growth. And then 2022, 23, boom, devaluation again. But the thing about it, and I don't think you guys will face these structural challenges again. It's one of the reasons why I say I'm jealous. Because some of us have scars that you likely will not have. But I had learned from 2015. And that's what resilience, this is the thing. Failure is such a powerful source of data. Right? So when I was calling this to my colleagues, and they there's one particular guy, Dipo, Jawad will talk to Dipo. Dipo is always like, how do you know? And it's because of some of this experience. So when the president announced that we were deregulating petrol at his inaugural address, and then the Naira was floated, we knew almost precisely what would happen over the next 2 years. That we're going to see inflation go over 30%, that unemployment was going to go up, that our very existence as an entity was going to be threatened. We knew that because K12 is like a vitamin, it's not Panadol. Miva is like Panadol, like Coartem. Lesson is like vitamin C. And so when households were hit, what is the first things they cut back on? Lesson teachers. And so if I can be vulnerable for a second here and speak to this, we had just gotten this license for Miva. I had a certain amount of cash in the bank that we were going to deploy this to do this. All of a sudden, to do Miva, that is. All of a sudden, the primary and secondary school business that had just made its way to 50 million naira a month after years of struggle, all of a sudden the revenues fell to 15. And it was either I made a sacrifice on the K-12 side, and this is a diplomatic way of saying that I had to let some of my colleagues go. And it's the most painful thing you can do. And if you're going to be a leader, this is one of the things I want to share with you. You will be faced with these kinds of decisions, and only you will know what this is like. So, do you let the two die? Or do you chop off one to save the second? And it seems like such a simple decision that you should be able to take in an hour. But we agonized over this for like 6 months. And we finally made that decision. And it was very painful, with all kinds of secondary effects. And I'm thankful now, though, that a year later or a year and a half later, both businesses are thriving again. Both businesses are thriving again. But this is what Nigeria teaches you, is this resilience, these shocks. And I must love this country very deeply because now I've been through two of them. But what I'm most grateful for is I cannot see the structural shocks coming of this scale again. It's probably behind us. There are some issues we still have to contend with, security, corruption, but not these fundamental shocks that we've had to contend with. So you need that in this part of the world. Mm-hmm. But it gives you something that nobody else has. Mm-hmm. My team right now is in Nairobi. We're seeking regulatory approval for a license there. This is the second trip we've taken in the past few months. The first trip I went to meet the regulator and look at Nairobi and look at real estate and meet with people. And and it was my first real trip to Nairobi. Who's been to Nairobi? Who's visited Kenya? When you go there, don't you just feel like I can do anything in this place? Yeah. Like if they let me loose in this place, I'll take over government. So, and that is because you've contended with Nigeria. Yeah. Sorry, regulator in Kenya, if you're watching this, I don't want to take over government. I want to take over government. So Nigeria gives you a strength, and that's when we see champions like Flutterwave and Move And businesses that are born out of Nigeria and manage to get out of Nigeria, they just, they just thrive. So yeah.
Yeah, and you're right about that. Nigeria is a country that will toughen you up.
Yes.
It will teach you resilience in different ways,
Yes.
different ways. Now I have a question here, and it's interesting. It sort of links to what you were talking about the strength. And this question says, speaking of AI, yes, we are getting great grades and our work is faster. But when we look critically, the quality of humans we have are years back, oh no, the quality of humans we had years back are stronger mentally. And they use their thinking abilities more than the set of humans we have now. Um, just move to the next slide. If we must be honest, yes, we have the opportunities and technology, but what can we actually do? It's a very interesting question on improving the quality of humans.
Wow. Does the person who asked that question want to show themselves? No, I wouldn't want to
Yes.
either.
Yeah, it's a young
Is
lady
that
over
you
there.
in the blue?
Yes,
It's a great
yes.
question. Such a good, such a good question. Um, the do you want me to be honest, or should I speak like I'm on the stage?
Be honest.
Okay. So there are societies. I think I know what you're talking about. I'm not a psychologist, but I think we all feel this thing that you're talking about. Unfortunately, the answers to some of these things are not answers that young people want to hear. So, for example, and you can feel free to boo if you want. I think that social media, for example, is a powerful tool of entertainment. It's also a powerful tool for organizing democracy and civil action and all of civic action. But it can also be a tool where passion and short-termism thrives. And passion is of many times is the opposite of reason and being rational. And if you look at societies today, remove Nigeria from the equation, where social media has been given free reign, and societies where social media is regulated, there's a correlation between those that are regulating and those that arguably have better social stability. But regulation of social media is not anything anybody wants to hear right now. But it's something that we're going to have to contend with in this society at some point. If it's not going to be me, it's going to be your generation that you're going to have to deal with. Me personally, anecdotally, I find that when I spend a lot of time on social media, my attention span becomes fragmented. My thinking ability declines. I'm not as rational. I'm more driven by emotion and passion, more cynical, more bitter, that's just me. But when I detach from it, then you get this perspective. I've had 2 fasts from social media, which have lasted a year. And the interesting thing is, you come back and you see the same people talking about the same things, like they've not grown at all. Everybody's talking about the same thing. So I think that's one big one. The other thing, too, is we have this belief that wealth and creativity, and this is also tied very much to social media and just general media, can be built in a short period of time. And that it can only be built in these digital spheres, right? Some of the most profound opportunities in Nigeria today are in agriculture. Some of the most profound opportunities today are in education. We're running, Miva U Lesson Group is running with the paranoia of a company that has a dozen competitors, but we don't, right? But everybody and anybody is trying to be a social influencer. influencer, and social influence, and and fintech, and some of these outcompeted. So I guess that maybe the theme, what I'll tell you is that go where nobody is. This is very important. There are incredible margins to be made in processing cocoa, in processing soybeans, in processing maize. Incredible margins, profit margins you can't find anywhere else in this world. If you actually look into it in some detail. But that requires mental fortitude and strength and your willingness to switch off your phone and to even go places where there's no connectivity. So these are some of the things I think. And it's also the reason why I think, there's a great risk that some of us that maybe had privilege and went to the best schools and the Harvards and the Stanfords and the UPenns and the Whartons and the, Columbia, at the end of the day, I suspect that the wealth that will be generated, the billionaires that will be created in Nigeria over the next 10 years, and there will be many. Many of them, most will not have Ivy League degrees. If you check their CVs, you see University of Lagos Akoka, you see Nnamdi Azikiwe, you see, yes, you see Miva. Thank you. Because it's just a willingness to go to where nobody is going and to do the things that are not sexy. So, if everybody's going towards this way, try and ask what is, the other way.
You mentioned agriculture earlier, and I have a question here asking if MIVA offers agricultural courses.
No, we don't. And this is one of the things where I'm trying to figure out how to do. There are all kinds of courses we want to offer that we can't offer yet, like microbiology, agricultural sciences. There are all kinds of things that we will do. We have a nursing program that is very interesting that points the way to how I think ODL education will be conducted in future. So I'll tell you about our nursing program. I wish we could admit more, and we need to be better about lobbying for this. So you get admitted to MIVA as a nurse with your RN. You have to have your RN. And you come in, and we do the instruction on the internet and on your device and, the media part of it. But then for your practicals, we send you to a hospital. And we have affiliate hospitals and clinics, generally primary and secondary hospitals around Nigeria. So you never have to leave your state. Maximum, you won't leave your state. Ideally, you shouldn't leave your local government. And we send you to a clinic, but here's the catch. We pay the clinic. So this is what we're doing. And we can do this profitably. We've shown it can be profitable. It's not a problem. We pay the clinic to take you, to train you. And so, to the degree there will be policymakers watching this, and I'm sure there will be, this points to a way we can teach agriculture, we can teach microbiology, we can teach some of these courses that require a lot of practicum. We will teach you about, propagation and plants and, microbiology. And then we push you into industry and we pay industry to take you and to train you. It's a complete flipping on the head of the model. But, in MIVA and ULESSIN and, our bankers, we are in possession of knowledge now of what works. And this knowledge is priceless. We know it works. It can be done. And we still charge, I don't know if you guys know what we charge, but our policy is to price close to parity with public universities. Right? So their undergraduate degrees at MIVA for as little as 120,000 naira a semester. And even in the context of that, we can still deliver these services. So it's not affordability that's the problem. It's just about us rethinking this model. And in many ways, it borrows from, our old cultural traditions of apprenticeship. You don't just stay in class. You put you into industry. Go and learn this thing. And we pay the person to take you. Right.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And that's actually very different from what we're used to in terms of education. Interestingly, I have a question here where someone's asking, besides the Beyond Education scholarship program, how does MIVA hope to accommodate those who are not financially capable but hope to have access to the opportunity? In other words, is there a flexible payment plan for them?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just, we're all, yes, so you can pay by semester. Any more granular than semester is monthly. Abu has bent over backwards and his team, Sterling has just been so good. And some of the decisions they've taken sometimes have been totally selfless in trying to provide financing for students. But you get to a point and where if you make the payment small enough, then the cost of chasing the person to pay for today's lessons outweighs the thing breaks. So we're down to semesters. We don't have access to NEL fund. I wish we did. So if policymaker, if any of you know anybody at NEL fund, it would be good if it can be broadened to include private universities. NEL fund is the education loan fund. It's only available right now to publicly owned institutions. And I kind of understand government's hesitation because that kind of thing can easily be abused. But there's some of us that are doing good work, real work. And this concern that she just asked is a real concern. Who pays for education out of pocket in the West? Nobody does. Nobody. The MIVA of the West, probably 90% of their students are on government loans. But in Nigeria, where, here we pay for our cars, cash, our house, cash, education, cash. But again, there are things happening. NELFON, Credit Corps, Credit Guarantee Agency, some of these things are happening. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, the credit environment improves.
Yeah, and I hope so too, because
Yeah.
just giving that opportunity to more young people.
Yes.
Now, I have a question here. It's very interesting because we were just talking about Nigeria, and then this particular question says, how do we make our own curriculum to be African centered and indigenous to us? Is it something you believe in? And is it something that you think can be done?
Yeah. So I can tell you what we are doing at MIVA. Our case studies are not just about Netflix or Goldman Sachs. We have those cases because ultimately, when I say I want Nigeria to be a modern, prosperous society, to function like a modern, prosperous society, it functions like that in a global economy. We're part of a global economy. But a lot of our case studies, the two case studies that I just read, one of the things I really enjoy doing with the business school, the business team, the MBA faculty, is I tell them to send me their case studies every week so I can read what they're writing and what we're teaching, whether it's in strategy or marketing. We use case studies a lot. And the two latest case studies that were sent to me yesterday were on Glovo and Sweet Sensations. And so, we have so many stories to tell, so many lessons to learn from our own sort of context. And so, there's those decisions being taken. The AI voices that we use we're training for Nigerian accents and Nigerian intonations. When we used it out of the box, it sounded Kenyan. It had a Swahili thing. Because that's how somebody sitting in London or Silicon Valley imagines that all Africans sound Swahili. So we have to train our own accents within MIVA. So there's a bunch of those small tactical decisions that maybe you as the students won't see. But behind the scenes, we're agonizing over something small and trying to get it just right. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Olan. And do you have PhD programs yet?
No, if they do, I will sign up. I want to be a doctor. I told
I'm
you.
just like, you're talking about MIVA, and I'm like, I really need to sign up.
It's a good school. I think it's a good school. You should come. We'll give you a special price.
Okay, okay, all right, no problem. Now, just looking back at formal systems often reward what is compliance. Like a lot of, especially from our traditional education, it rewards compliance.
Yes.
We follow things the way it has to be done.
Yes.
And interestingly, when you talked about fascism earlier, I find it interesting because Nigerians don't really comply. No, we don't.
Yes.
So how can learners and educators encourage creativity?
Yes.
And also encourage independent thinking, which naturally comes to Nigerians.
This is what I was going to say.
Yeah, but
yes.
how do you believe that learners and educators can actually encourage that more in our system?
Yeah, so before talking about the role of educators, I think this is why Nigeria is going to have a very special place in this world that is coming up now. Again, you have to think about the industrial age. This was the age of the big symbolic product of the industrial age that heralded the industrial age was the Ford Model T. right? It's assembly line. So you install the tire, you install the steering wheel, and you spend 30 years of your life installing a steering wheel. So that was a world of compliance, and that is not a world where culturally, whether it is the theocratic cultures of northern Nigeria or the republican cultures of eastern Nigeria or even western Nigeria and the children of Odu, we just don't think like that. We are people of flair and creativity and independent thinking. And that's the kind of, those traits are going to thrive now. The traits of compliance will not do so much. And so what teachers have to do, I think, is you have to go from being, let me be poetic, instead of being a sage on a stage, you have to be a guide by the side. So you like that? You have to stand next to the student instead of talking down to the person. It's now an era of encouraging and guiding and teaching. There will be a baseline service of AI. I think that everybody will be using in 10 years. But the middle class and the wealthy class will be those that will be able to afford the human guide by the side. Basically, what will happen is the lowest income earners will have only AI. I think that's the world we're going to. But if you're really wealthy, then you might have a one-to-one guide for your child. If you're middle class, you might be 1 to 50 or 1 to 20 or whatever the ratios are. But if you're lower income, then all you will have will be the AI instructor. But I think you need that human encouragement, not so much talking down, but sort of working with people.
Yeah. Thank you. I believe we can take one or two live questions. Okay. I think the gentleman with the hoodie. And yes, and also okay.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Victor Odogo.
Hello, Victor.
Hello. And good afternoon, Mr. Shagaya. So, listening to you for the last minutes, I have noticed a serious drive to win. This stubbornness not to lose. Nigeria happened to you, decided to overcome Nigeria. So I want to ask, have you always been like this, or is there a family, structure involved in it? Do your parents, encourage you to be this stubborn? I would like to know.
My
Thank
family
you.
member stubborn, basically. We are actually. I'm from Plateau South. I'm from well, my mother is Urobo Ijo, but my father is from Plateau South, and I'm from a part of Nigeria called Langtang. I don't know if you guys have heard of. Who has heard of the Langtang Mafia? Okay. Yeah, exactly. We're notoriously very stubborn ethnic group. Very, very stubborn. So maybe there's some of that. Combined with Urobo and Ijo, yeah, it's interesting. So maybe there's some of that. But no, I don't know if I was always. I don't know if I was always like that. Maybe I'll write a book someday. I was very shy, a very quiet child. But I grew up in a military, very military family, and I remember my dad used to, up until you're very sensitive. You're too quiet. You should speak up. You're too sensitive. But I think somewhere in teenage years, then the Langtang side started to come out maybe more. No, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be philosophical and make things sound deep, but you have one life, right? You have one life. You don't want any regrets. You don't want to, you make the best of it, and you also have to practice not being afraid of, failing in front of people. I think one of the things that I've learned also is that many things can be practiced. Many things can be practiced. Not being afraid to fail can be practiced. Resilience even can be practiced. It's just like a muscle. And I'm determined to see this country work. I don't know what that's going to look like. I really don't know if I'm here till the age of 90 or something. I've projected for Nigeria will be over 500 million people, which probably means you drive from here to Ilorin and it will just be urban all the way. Like Nigeria will be that, it will be like the city country of Africa because it's just be urban, right? Which means that a lot of the creativity, if we can achieve this, look, a lot of this Wizkid is, making all this money, and Nigerian culture is like everywhere, and Nigerian music is everywhere, and part of it is our creativity. But I think the creativity and the fact that we're spreading so much is because of our population. That's the reason. Who is the white kid right now sitting in Maryland or Virginia or Texas that doesn't have a Nigerian friend? Right? It just doesn't happen. And so, that is such an asset. But if we let it fester, it's going to be a world that none of us want to live in. And so that's why I'm just if I can, if Nigeria, and I've said this to Abu's hearing before, if I can be 75 years old and Nigeria is ascendant, meaning it's rising militarily, culturally, economically, I'm happy. I would have lived a good life, And if I played a part in that, if we can be a guarantor of security in West Africa, if not larger Africa, if before a country in West Africa goes to vote at the UN, they come and ask us what we think first. If they're all dancing to our music, which is already happening, if their soybean and their maize and their chocolate and their petrol is coming from here, then I think I will be happy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, one more question.
Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Kinsum. I have heard you and many other speakers or many other people talk about the growing Nigeria's population, especially the youth population. And you always talk about it in light of the opportunities. I don't want to be cynical, but with the low rate of unemployment, the low rate of employment, the low level of education, especially amongst the youth, I guess my
Yeah.
question is, where is the optimism coming from? Don't you think 30 years from now, the challenges will more or less be more than the opportunities?
Um, I want to be brutally honest with you and say that this is like the X factor. I can't answer. We don't know. There might be conditions that will. Okay, before I came here, one of the reasons that I walked in here so late, so rudely, is because I was at Jawad and I went to visit a potential investor and one of the folks there had invested in an AI school that's based in Senegal that's graduating 50 very high quality, high level AI graduate level engineers a year, and many of those are Nigerians, and I think he said about 30% of them were Nigerian. And all of them that graduated got a job. Every single one. And there are a few outliers whose salaries are actually in the region of 750 million naira a year. So, why is that happening? You look at a country like Germany, Nigeria's average population is 18, and their average age, rather, is 47. Like, this world is we will provide the employment for the world. So that there is a source of optimism and hope. It's when the employment will not just come from here. You know how I talked about how we pulled these incredibly difficult reforms and the place didn't burn down. It was painful, but it didn't burn down. Why didn't it? Is it because somewhere in Oshogbo there's a kid who is earning $10,000 a month coding offshore, and it's just the statistic is just not recorded? There's somebody in Jos earning $5,000 a month quietly, and nobody's taxing him. Nobody knows. And he goes out every day. He buys his Indomie, buys his yogurt, and he's spreading. The money is spreading. And it's because he's serving folks offshore. So I want to be honest, the risk that you're painting is real. And we're seeing the consequences of it. 20 million out of school children, mostly in the north, where I'm from. 20 million. Of course you're going to have Boko Haram. Of course, we're already starting to see this Mad Max kind of world emerge. You know that movie, Mad Max? It's not too difficult. It's not very difficult, very distant from that. But at the same time, I think that the industrial world ran ahead. Uh, British Empire, Imperial Britain, neo-colonial America, everybody ran ahead. And we thought I remember when I was finishing university in you know, 97, 98. We thought that history, there was a book called The End of History. Like it was over, the West had won, capitalism had won, Africa was always going to be, then it was okay to call us third world. Now it's least developed, which is nicer. But it turned out that that was not the end game. It turned out it was like they were like economies that grew quickly on steroids. And now their populations are all declining. And Tokyo is, Japan is now designating a precinct for Nigerians to come and live. They built the buildings, so now they're handing it over. Right? So the point is that there are economic systems out there in the world that we might be able to plug into. So that is a thesis. But this risk that you're talking about, it's real. And it's very, very real. There are some things we have to do in this country that we have to get right. One of the more painful switches, I think power sector liberalization just happened. Anecdotally, people are starting to say there's more electricity. Give Nigeria 50,000 megawatts. I don't even know why we're holding ourselves back. And employment won't be such an acute problem. It will still be there, but I suspect it to be in the teens, maybe. If we can just deliver 20,000 megawatts, 30,000 megawatts, then this doesn't seem like such a problem anymore. And again, the brakes for that have just been removed. You know, we're subsidizing electricity. Everywhere the government subsidizes, it distorts the market. It spoils. It just walks into it. It spoils the market. So you know that's why I support, despite the pain, remove these subsidies because you're not doing anything good anyway. So the power subsidies have just been removed. So there are a lot of switches being turned on. You know, we're endowed with CNG and gas. And I have enough history and age now behind me to remember thinking it was the end of history in 1999. That the West had won. You remember this phrase, the end of history. The West has won. Now everything is flipping upside down. Even the African countries. Let me give you an example. Up until 3 years ago, Botswana was arguably the wealthiest country in this world. Do not discount the power of disruption. Arguably, even wealthier, I think, than Seychelles and Maldives. Easily one of the wealthiest countries in the world. But certainly the wealthiest country in Africa was Botswana. They had huge diamond reserves. They pay you to go to school. Free healthcare. There are only 1 million of them. They did nothing wrong. And then all of a sudden, China democratized synthetic diamond production. And diamond prices first fell by 10% and then 20%. And today you can buy a 1 carat diamond for 10% of the price that you bought it 4 years ago. So if you want to put a 10 carat diamond ring on your wife's finger, you can do that now for not much. But that has wreaked havoc on Botswana. The country is disrupted, right? So all of a sudden, the high place is being made low, right? And now everybody is looking for soybean and cocoa and shea butter and all of these things that Nigeria produces. And so it's possible the low places will be made high. Maybe I'm just an incurable optimist. That's just the religion I choose to believe in. But I suspect that these problems, if it's not this generation, that you guys will figure them out, partially again because you don't have a choice. You will have to figure them out. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Elvis Boniface. I work in education journalism as founder of EduGist. 2 questions. So one
question, please.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So one is a comment really, which I want to give because I work in education media. I wanted to find out what MIVA is doing to convince parents because they know MIVA, but they don't want their kids to actually toe that part where they are not going into a conventional university and they come to us in the media to ask. But that's that. But my question is because this is a leadership convening. Now, when you look at what MIVA is doing, at this point in time, do we need the multiplication of universities like MIVA in Nigeria, or we need to focus on quality? And that question is from the background of a meeting when the mayor of Lagos, of London came. He said, London, 9 million people, 50 university, 49 to be precise. Lagos, over 20 million people, 60 university. What do we need at this time? Multiplication or quality? Because we have someone from the public institution in this room.
I think you need both. I think we need more universities. So Indonesia, just to highlight the gentleman's, to underscore his point, Indonesia has roughly the same population as Nigeria. Maybe they have like 20 million more or something at this point. But we have, I think, 179 universities. They have 3,000. So you need more. But I understand the regulator saying they don't want to issue any more licenses. I understand that also because there have been many folks that they've given licenses that end up trying to sell the license on the secondary, sell it to somebody else or do nothing with it. Or, I think there was one example. There was a press conference that was had a few days ago where there was one university with, if I have my numbers right, is it like 1,800 professors for 900 students? Yeah, so then you have a structural problem. So I think you need quality. I defer to the wisdom and judgment of the regulator on that. I think they're making the right decisions. I think Nigeria could easily take 5 MIVAs. Easily. But that said, I think we also need more than universities. This goes back to the question the lady with the blue headdress asked. We need POP installers, we need bricklayers, we need farmers, we need vocational. We need people that can build things with their hands. Not everything is code. Not everything is social media. We need people that can we need to get very serious about vocational education. And I don't think it's, if it were me, the policy would look something like let government not build the vocational schools. Instead, let it encourage entrepreneurs like you who've secured financing from a sterling bank or you use your own capital. And then government says for every person you graduate that we vet and a third party vets, we subsidize, we help. So we need folks that can repair phones, repair TVs, repair. I know certainly, this we need. This is what has built China. It's not exclusively the degree holders that have built China, not by any means. The vast majority of the people that are building our roads here in Nigeria, these incredible wonders of infrastructure you see happening in Abuja, where it seems you issue these people contracts and 6 months later there's a flyover. I don't even know how they do these things. But these folks don't have university degrees. If you actually talk, I've invited some of them to my home. I've made friends with them. Many of them do not have university degrees. Most of them don't have. So we need the full stack. This is the thing about Nigeria. And this is why, so you might look at it and think the typical person will look at this and say, oh my God, this is a huge problem. It's a disaster. Let me japa. But I know people like myself and Abu will look at this and say, how do I finance this thing? Because this is a huge opportunity. How do I convince government to provide some financing to support this? It might not seem glamorous. Again, it might not seem sexy to open an institution that trains bricklayers. But this is a huge opportunity. We shouldn't be saying, oh, the best people come from Benin Republic or Togo. Like, what are they doing there that we're not doing? So it's the full stack.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you so much for that. And just want to give you a few seconds break. Just going back to beyond education, which is the theme for our conversation today, and also the initiative. I would like to, I don't know if he is here, I believe he's here, CEO of Sterling Phi, Mr. Charles Omoira. There he is, right there. Sir, I would just like to know your thoughts on how Beyond Education and how Sterling Phi is actually engaging in the education sector. Where is the microphone for him? Sorry, they're coming to you, sir.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much, Sim, for this session. I did everything possible to be here. I'm a teacher's son, so I lived all my growing up life in a secondary school, because my father was principal of 3 different secondary schools. So this is very important to me. And I've enjoyed how you have taken the discussion away from formal education, starting with, yes, formal education is important. The use of technology now. I mean, when we went to school, for you to do some research, you went into a library. There were many books. And I tell my children, I said, look, it's in your palm today. The research is in your palm. What are you doing with it? But you had to go into a library and all of that. Now, education is brought before us, and the distractions of social media and all of that. Sterling Fi is the wealth management subsidiary of the Sterling Group, and we're just starting up, and leading from what Sterling Bank and Abu have done in their investments in education. For us, I think we would take that cue, and get. There are lots of people who have made money. There are institutions who have made money. There are family homes who have made money, and are not just looking for investments in your typical traditional asset management classes, but alternative investments in things that are important to them, and just following up from all that Sterling has been doing in health, in education, and all that. So our hope is that we will be able to attract some of that finance and get all these people to trust us with putting it in the right places, and things like education that is important to growing. For us, it's a give back opportunity, and help build the kind of country and the kind of human beings that we want. So I'm very happy to be here, and thank you very much for leading this conversation. And we will try to follow the trajectory that you have set and support putting more investments in this space. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Charles. As we begin to round up, I just have one, maybe 2 questions. One question. You mentioned the number of out of school children, and staggering 20 million, especially mostly in the north, right? I personally very aware of those figures. When you think about that and you think about the future of education, what would you say we should be building today to prepare for when you turn 60, and see how we can have more of those out of school children back in school, as well as the young people who are getting the necessary skills for the workplace?
So first of all, I think this future is going to be uneven. So even though it will be 10 years from now, there will still be some states that will be lagging. And so you have to, you can't answer these questions in absolutes. I think there will be some states that will be best in class. And you have to think about this in terms of states in Nigeria. This is one of the brilliant things about Nigeria, is that you've got these 36 laboratories. And education has been sort of pushed down to them. So folks can innovate and try different things and copy each other and see what's working. But I hinted at the answer that I'm convinced from my experience will be the future. The unit cost of delivering AI voice and AI video will continue to drop very quickly. So I think, let me just paint a picture. I think in 10 years, you will have, and you won't be able to tell the difference between a real and a synthesized AI that will be teaching a child. So the child will log in the morning, and the AI will say good morning, and the AI will remember that this child maybe got into an argument with their sister yesterday and asked them, so have you solved that? How's it going? Are you ready to start? And that level of emotional support and emotional intelligence will be available to every state government that is willing to spend probably on the order of $1, 1,500 naira per student per month. If you are willing to spend that for the children in your state, you'll be able to deliver the experience I'm detailing to you. And that AI will say, okay, we're going to do math now, and be able to give contextual instructions and ask questions. So you're in Anambra, okay, let's talk. Or you're in Southern Plateau, you're familiar with yams and talking, and even maybe teaching the local language and get answers back. And as they're talking, as the AI is talking, there's a whiteboard behind them on the screen on the tablet or whatever the device is, that's synthesizing the 2+2 behind them and saying, okay, press the answer, the multiple choice. These experiences are going to be delivered by companies that are going to be worth billions of dollars. There will be educational giants worth billions of dollars serving children, making 90% gross margin, 50%, 40% net profit margin for 1,500 naira per student per month. But even despite that affordability, unfortunately, I'm sure there will still be states that will not do it. And there will be states that will make it law at the State House of Assembly level that every child must have access to AI education. But AI is insufficient. It's not everything. You still need human connection. And that's why I believe that if you're middle class or you're wealthy, you will still pay for a human to sit in class with your children. Or if you're sufficiently wealthy, you would even have just one individual with your child because you can afford to pay for one teacher for your child. But the baseline will lift, very much like what happened in telco. I think I had a very privileged upbringing in Nigeria, but even I had to, when I wanted to make international calls, I had to leave our house on Utonkon Road in Jos and walk to the Nitel office and go and stand in line. And sometimes that line was 30 people deep. Or when we lived in Lagos, the driver would have to take me. My dad had to do this, or we would give him phone bills that he wouldn't believe. So he locked the thing and made it totally localized phone calls. So we'd have to go to the Nitel building in Marina. That's where you went to make international calls back then. Sorry? The Net building. Yes. You actually left to go and make international calls somewhere. But now the baseline has lifted. Anybody, even in the village, that has sufficient credits can make an international call. Similar thing is going to happen in education. The base will lift. But then, there will be additional services for the wealthy. And the base will be better than the services available for the majority today. At least that if Miva and ULesson have anything to do with that future, that's they say the best way to predict the future is to build it, to invent it. But we've looked at the economics already, and it's clear $1 a day, it won't even take 10 years, maybe in 5, will be achievable to deliver rich services. AI is going to go through its bubble phase. It's going to be a bit of a collapse, I think, sometime next year, maybe even later this year. And then the real pickup will start, and it will deliver some incredible things. So highly personalized, highly contextual knowledge. A lot of learning will leave the classroom. Right now, we're struggling with how to get, these young kids that are, herders. There are kids that walk cows around all day. I think the whole conversation changes. I think many of those kids will have these baseline services. They might still be herding, hopefully just not in Abuja. But they might still be herding, but they will have access to tablets and those services if the state government funds it. Because there will be some services that private sector just can't carry. They'll have to collaborate. So I think this is what the future this is what the future looks like.
Thank you. Please, a round of applause. A big, big round of applause. Really, I would, for everyone that has questions, I would just say that when we do send out the post-event email, you please feel free to ask those questions and you will get a response. Thank you so much, Mr. Sim. This has been a very, very, should I call you Dr. Sim? We're working towards it. Yes, it sounds really nice. This has been a very, very enlightening conversation. And I know for all of us that are here, we would say the same, that we've taken a lot of nuggets from this. And Japa is not an answer. Stay in Nigeria, solve the issues, build Nigeria. And on that note, I will hand over to the host of the night.
Thank you so much. Please, one more time, can we give Mr. Sim Shagaya another round of applause, I beg of you. For those who joined via YouTube, we say a very big thank you to you. I guess you've learned so much. And those who are at the overflow, we acknowledge you as well. And also, I'm told that there are beyond education scholars attending virtually and are very active in the comment sections. Most of the questions came from the comment questions. Please, for those of us here physically, please, can we give them a round of applause? They didn't leave the live feed at all. When you have a combination of the spirit from the Langtang area and also the jaw area, you can't go below excellence. Yes, you can't go below excellence. I can attest to that because my grandmother is Langtang. Yes. And I've never been to Jos in my life. Well, she didn't live long to see me though. My grandmother is from Langtang. My mother and father, my father is from the Niger Delta. My mother is from Imo and River State. So the part I'm just looking for is that Yoruba part, you know. So by the time I contest election, I have people from here, people from here, people from here, and then I become the president. But I pray, hopefully, I become the Senate president in another 9 years. It will happen, right? One amazing thing about today, or what Sterling Bank is doing, for some people, you won't realize it now. And I'm going to tell you this story. There was a coffee company way back, I think between the 40s and the 60s. They tried selling coffee to the Chinese. They couldn't get the Chinese to take coffee. So what did they do? They went to the younger generation. And what did they do? They sold candies to them in coffee. And after about 20, 30 years, that generation grew up and started taking coffee. Now, situated to what is happening here today, it might look small. Each and every one of you, an investment is being placed inside of you. Working for this leadership series, the Sterling Leadership Series, investment is being placed. Tomorrow, by the time you see Mr. Abu at probably at an airport in Los Angeles, or you see Mr. Sim somewhere, probably in the UK or something, he said, "Do you remember me?" He said, "No, I don't remember you. You spoke at the leadership series and I was impacted. Now I am the CEO of, I own." So never despise, never despise. Talk to people, make the noise, tell them about what Sterling Bank is doing. And I'm super sure Nigeria will become the most desirable nation in 2035. On that note, now we're going to take pictures. Permit me, my dear MD, please, can you join me here, please? Mr. Abu, can you join me? CEO Sterling 5, please, can you also join me? Mr. Charles, so can I also have the COO, please? Sorry. Sterling One Foundation. Where's she at? All our discussants, can you join us on stage, please? Mr. Asim, can you also join us, please? All our discussants, please, can you join us on stage? We'll be taking pictures. Okay. My dear sister. So after this, we'll be taking the closing remarks from the MD CEO. Thank you so much. Please, can we give them a round of applause? I beg of you. At this point, we'll be taking the closing remarks from the quintessential Managing Director and CEO of Sterling Bank. Please, can we give him a reverberating applause, please?
Thank you. I know. Good night. The first time we had a Sterling leadership series, it was Professor Wole Soyinka that we invited. We wanted to be sure that we built this series on something that is incredibly powerful. We're trying to set a standard. Since then, we've brought former Minister Mobola Johnson, who brought the former CEO of Unilever, Yao Onsako, and a couple of other people. And today is the first time we have an overflow. I didn't even know how to pronounce the word overflow. That tells you that we got it right. The person who came here today did us a good job. I think it's only fair that I make a comment about why do we think that the population that we are facing will not become a crisis for us. I think it's important that I make a comment about it. Those of you who remember, when I came to this town about 20-something years ago, if you're lucky and you have a lot of money, you queued up for 6 months and then you got a phone line. When I came here, there wasn't a single private university in this country. Now today we have more than 100 mobile phones in people's hands. We have more private universities than we have government universities today. When I came here, it was between Molu and Bolekaja. That's how you got around. And it's not a joke. Today, we have a rail line that does 90 trips a day. What am I saying? Despite all the difficulties that we face, this country is in a transition. I'm proud to now we struggle because we didn't have the resources. Don't be fooled. People made the mistake of thinking that if you had a little bit of oil, you had resources. We didn't have a lot of oil. Nigeria today has less than 3 barrels per annum per person. You could literally drink the oil that we have per person and not be okay. We don't have a lot of oil money. We just made the mistake of thinking that because we produce quite a bit of oil. We now know that. So we are aware that our capital lies elsewhere. When you combine all of this with what technology has done for us. You look at what Nigerians have done in the fintech space. You look at what Nigerians have done in arts and entertainment. You look at what Nigerians are doing in fashion. Look at our food. The one thing you know for certain is that this country was not a country of 20 years ago. And the tools available to us now, we could not have dreamt of it. So if you are one of those wondering if 30 years from now, 20 years from now, this country is going to be in trouble, I have no doubt in my mind that this country is just about to take off. And I think it will become very evident soon. As for Sim, unfortunately, he's not here to hear me out. I spent 40 years walking into the room and being one of the youngest people around. And then the last couple of years, I started to see incredibly talented people, way more talented than myself, who were my younger brothers. Sim is one of them. Taiwo Yedele, who led the tax reform recently, is another one. They both turned 50, and I was forced to write about them. What am I saying? The generation coming after me are actually way better equipped than I was to make a difference. I call them after me, even though they're not that much younger. I think your generations will come onto the stage far better equipped. So I don't think you have any reason to worry. And finally, as for those who think Jakpa is an option, what I say to people is that every single developed country was built by some ancestors. If your ancestors did not have the opportunity to build yours, you either become the ancestor that will build it for others to come, or you go and live a borrowed life. I assure you, anywhere outside this continent, you are living a borrowed life on borrowed time. And when it suits them, they will remind you very quickly that you are not one of them. And so for that reason and that reason alone, I encourage you for the sake of your children and your grandchildren, let us build this country together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. And on that note, we've come to the end of this wonderful edition of the series Beyond Education Sterling Leadership Series. Please, as you go out, we have as you step out, we have refreshments available for everybody in an orderly fashion. Can we just make our way out? See you at the top. Make Sterling Bank proud. Make Sterling Bank great. Become great yourself. Impact your world. Be the disruptor as you have been told to be. Above all, think Nigeria. Make Nigeria great. We can take more pictures outside. If you'd like to take pictures with the background, post it on the social media pages. Talk about the SLS series.
The Sterling way. No papers, no stress, just tap and go. Your money moves fast like a pro. One bank lives where the vibes reside. Free transfers, keep your wallet.
Also, I would like to inform us that you can find this particular edition on YouTube.
Free like the beat, no surprise.
So you can go back, rewatch it over and over again.
Sterling's got your back, oh yes, it's true. Free transfers every time you do. One bank's the way to save and slay. Send your cash the Sterling way. For every night, just star bold and free. Sterling brings transfers, no more fees. One better.
For those who still have questions, I will advise you go on YouTube, watch this edition, drop your questions there, and definitely you'll get an answer.